1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8.
Johnny Lamb Jones. Wide receiver. As a season ticket holder of the Jets, I'm going to fool Ken O'Brien of California Davis.
Obviously, the Jets know something that, the people up there don't.
Fullback. Roger Vick. Jeff Wagaman.
Jets just don't understand the dress all back.
Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State. Johnny Mitchell. The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. Vernon Golson.
Cleveland's traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
D. Milner.
Smith. Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
Sam Darnold.
The New York Jets select Zach Wilson.
Future Pro Bowler, Elijah Moore.
Michael Carter, running back.
Well, hello, everybody. There was a little delay there. That was weird. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am happy that you're here. This is the 2022 March 21st installment of the 10 o'clock mock. I am GreenBean, and I am psyched about this one, guys. It's going to be a good show. We got lots of Jets fans out there, all angry. Everybody's mad and upset after last week. Everybody was so happy. How come it's so fickle? Why are we so fragile of a fan base? For such a tough group of fellas and individuals, I can't believe how upset we get so quickly. And hopefully tonight, with what we do here, it can offer you some hope for the future. And you have some ideas on what can be, what could be, guys. But I am most excited because I have a guest on here that has been with me before, but never for the Monday night 10 o'clock mock. And I just couldn't be more excited. He's one of my favorite content creators out there for the New York Jets. And in a different way than a guy like me goes out there and creates content, he actually knows what he's talking about. And I thoroughly enjoy watching his tapes and all the breakdowns that he makes. You know him, you love him. Let's say hello and welcome to the 10 o'clock mock, Luke Grant, the film analyst for Play Like a Jet. Mr. Luke Grant, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm pretty good, GreenBean. How you going? Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Had a blast last time on the Thick of It Thursday show. I'm excited to do some mocks where at that time of the year where it actually makes sense now. Free agency's effectively over. I don't think there's any big trades coming, so we can actually focus on a realistic mock. We can get into it, and it's pretty exciting. I was a little negative the other day, so if you follow me on Twitter, I was a little upset. I wanted a receiver. That's okay. But I promise you we're going to be more rational and reasonable today, and I'm excited for it.
Nice. I like that. You acknowledging, hey, I was upset. Look, I get upset too. It's okay, right? We want something. It looks like, this move might happen and then it doesn't. How can you not be disappointed, right? I have guys in the chat and they share in here. They're like, this one hurts, like, let me ask you, between the two rumored trades that were actually looking possible for us, we had the Amari Cooper trade and then we had the Robert Woods trade. I think what separated, not separated, but what frustrated Jets fans the most was the draft capital that was needed to get these players. They're both excellent wide receivers. Amari Cooper for a 5th and a little switcheroonie of the 6th. And then Robert Woods just took a 6th. So which one of those was the one that you wanted, like you really wanted the most? And were you surprised by the capital that it took to get that guy?
Yeah, if you look at my Twitter the other day, you might have thought it was the Robert Woods, but for me, that was just the tip of the iceberg. I think Amari Cooper made a lot more sense for the Jets, to be honest. I mean, I understand he had $20 million guaranteed, but what I liked about that contract was the fact that there was no guaranteed money after 2022. So you gave yourself the opportunity to choose between Amari Cooper and Corey Davis to move forward with one of them. You could have restructured. He ended up doing that in Cleveland. So I think he's the one that definitely I would have wanted more. And I think the Jets should have coveted more. The trade capital wasn't ultimately that surprising for Robert Woods. I think the ACL and the age, that kind of makes sense. For Cooper, I was a little shocked it wasn't slightly higher. I thought a third or fourth round pick, even after they announced he was going to be cut, that was a PR move. They want to let teams know that Amari Cooper's available. He's going to be on the way out. So I wasn't shocked, but I thought Cooper could get a little bit more. But realistically, my issue with it wasn't that they didn't get player A or player B. It was just a bit of a strategic planning, and that's kind of where I thought Joe Douglas may have missed the trick. But look, c'est la vie, we're here now, and we look forward to the draft.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I was definitely believing for a minute. I know better, Luke. I really do. I know better not to believe a lot of the mumbo jumbo that comes out, but I think I started to believe for a few minutes. I was talking to my son, Teen Bean, about it. I was like, I think we're going to get Amari Cooper. I just had a feeling, and I was dead wrong. And you can't help it. You can't help but be a little upset. So everybody's in the chat, man. They're saying hello. They're saying welcome. I'm getting people saying that they love you. I want to say hello to some people in the chat. I see Matthias Simon, Mr. Magix, Eminon's here. Jinpak is here. SG31 Black, FOC is back. All saying hello to you. Owen Barrera or Barrera. I always think I mess that up every week, Owen, and I apologize. Iowan's here. Iowan Jet fan. Jets Mess, Red Dog, my Aunt Gina Arena saying hello, Luke. She's the woman who got me into the Jets as a little tiny boy. I had no idea that she was an evil, foul temptress that got me into this terrible way of life, Gene. What did you do to me? Lindels is here, Colton Brunning, Rusty Spooner, Cadoza's back, Joe Campione. I love you guys, man. Gitmo Bob, Fat Gandalf, Jamie Nagar, so many guys. And we got a super chat from Aiden. Thanks, Aiden. Starting it off right. I'll remind you guys, we try really hard to get as many of your comments in as we can. If you want to cut the line, obviously, super chats are going to be the best way to do that. We definitely do everything that we can to get to all the super chats. So Aiden says, thoughts on Kyle Hamilton at 4 and Edge at 10. Interesting. So before we get the mock started, why don't we answer Aiden's question? I'll throw that to you. I think everybody knows my feelings on Kyle Hamilton. I love him. But where do you stand? If they went into the draft and came away with Kyle Hamilton at 4 and let's say a Karlaftis or a Trayvon Walker or Jermaine Johnson at 10, how do you feel about that?
I think the Jets get 2 players, but I think they didn't get the most out of their assets. Look, I'm with you. Kyle Hamilton is a fantastic player. How can you not love the tape? The difference between he and some of the safeties that have come out in past years, we had the kid out of Clemson a few years ago. Everyone thought was going to be that caliber of player. Didn't quite turn out that way. He's different. He's got more athleticism sideline to sideline. He can play free safety in the NFL. But at the moment, I think ideally my dream scenario is you take a guy like Thibodeau at number 4, and then you look to take a defensive back at 10. I'm still big on doubling down on defense. I think it's the strongest part of the draft. I want to target the best players rather than positions of need. That's why I was a little upset about wide receivers, because I hoped the Jets then didn't think we have to panic at wide receiver. So ideally, I sit there and hope that a Gardner or a Hamilton falls to 10, because if one quarterback goes in the top 10, I think there's a realistic chance that one of those 2 makes it to 10. So it's not my ideal situation. I think I'd be a little bit upset because you're paying Hamilton like a top 10, top 12 safety in the NFL from day one, plus you're using the number 4 pick on him. So I get it. But it probably isn't my ideal situation.
So not ideal, right? It's like, I really do feel what you said there. There was a little sentence that you said there is really the key. Now, the players aside, which player you like, and it's all going to come down to who the Jets feel is the best fit. And we know that. But the fact that people are, trying to force a need into the top end of the draft, it really, I get it. I totally do. But the truth is that you try to use the strengths of the draft,
correct,
to fill your team with the best possible talent. And it just so happens that this particular draft, the top end of the first round is defense. So why shouldn't we go that route? I'm really hoping that they do, Luke, because look, if they choose a receiver, if they take Garrett Wilson or Drake London or whoever, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be fine. I like these players, but I really think it should be defense up top as well. If we start trading back and everything, okay, we got a different story, but I happen to agree with you. So guys, tonight We did the poll earlier today on YouTube, and tonight you guys voted. Let me see if I can share this with you guys real fast. Let's see if we got it open. I might not even have it open because I'm you know what I am? I'm a consistent tab closer. That's what I am. I like go around my computer. Like I'll leave something open so I can use it. And then 10 seconds later, I close it because it's in my way. That's what I do, Luke. Let me see if this is the one. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Oh, wow. Okay. So let me share this. So yeah. Because I'm telling you, my screen is a mess. So the fact that I just found something. Oh, it's not letting me do it, though. All right. I can't share it. No sweat, guys. So anyway, you guys chose in the poll on YouTube for this mock, you guys chose to kind of do a repeat of what we did last week. There's been some additions, so it's fine. But you chose to just use free agency, not make any trades. I really thought, Luke, I had an option up there that we were going to trade back with Dallas to 10 to 24. We would have gotten 88, their third-round pick, and a third-round pick next year. And it was close, but I thought they were going to go for it. They didn't. So we're just going to go ahead and use the real world, Luke. How's that sound? Is that agreeable to you?
Sounds pretty good to me. And as I said at the top, I think once you get more signings filtering through, even since your show last week, it makes it more realistic. It's a perfect opportunity. And for Joe Douglas, look, his seat's not hot now. He's not in danger of being fired. But I think it's important to realize for him that he needs impact players. So maybe trading back isn't the move for him in 2022. He has 9 picks. He has 4 top 40 picks. So maybe he goes ahead and attacks it just like we're going to tonight.
Right. See, and there's logic there, man. It's like, look, I made all these moves over the past 2 years. I've gotten rid of guys. I've moved up, moved down, moved around. All this work. I've been cleaning the cap, getting rid of dead money. I want to use my assets. I'm at the store. I'm at the candy store. I got $100 bill and I'm taking some candy. I'm not pushing it off till next week. I want my candy right now while I'm at the store. And I would understand that. 4 top 40 picks. That's not something you come by very often. And I would not be upset if he decided to just go ahead and pick 4 top 40 players. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So Craig Safola checks in. What's up, Craig? It's good to see you, buddy. He says, what would you be willing to give up for Metcalf? So he's talking about DK Metcalf, obviously, from the Seattle Seahawks. I really don't think he's available, but for Craig, what are you willing to give up if Seattle called and said, hey, you want DK Metcalf? What are you willing to give up for him, Luke?
So I gave 2 scenarios on Twitter over the last couple of weeks. The first one, I'm not trading number 10 straight up for DK Metcalf. You're going to have to pay him. He's an incredible player, but it's not. Joe Douglas isn't going to do it. The first one I had was trading back from 4 to 9. So using our first pick, going back to number 9 with Seattle for DK Metcalf. And I think they gave us like a 4th round pick in return as well. That equaled out to number 21 on the value chart. I had another one the other day. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it was number 10 overall for DK Metcalf and number 39 or 40. I think they picked number 40. So you're getting a 2nd round pick, DK Metcalf, and they're getting number 10. That valued out to number 23 overall. I think they're the most I would ever look at trading. I don't think it's going to happen. You hit the nail on the head. They still think they're in a window somehow, even though they have no talent at corner, edge, quarterback. But I don't think he's going anywhere. Pete Carroll's getting older. Schneider's on the hot seat if he doesn't win. So I don't think he does, but that's what I would move. That's the most that I would move in a DK Metcalf move.
You don't think I'm getting the picture here that you don't think Drew Lock's going to take them. You don't think he can put the Seahawks on his back and ride them into the promised land, huh?
I don't think so. Even though, there were people, a guy Thor, who's quite big on Twitter, into QB analytics, he said that Zach Wilson's comp was Drew Lock. So maybe I should be nicer to Drew Lock, but no, I
maybe. Nor do I. I think I was, I saw the whole Matt Ryan thing today. Matt Ryan, as we know, was traded to the Colts for a 3rd round pick. It's mind blowing. But I heard that Seattle was also trying to get Matt Ryan too. So the fact that they're out there fishing shows that what's in their bucket isn't exactly making them happy. They're still trying to pull in fish. The bucket is not okay. So maybe they go and take a swing at Baker Mayfield, but that poor fella, we'll talk about a fall from grace. Baker Mayfield is going to be walking around as a 3rd string quarterback or something. I don't know, but I agree with you. I don't think DK Metcalf is available, but the scenarios that you presented, I think are the way that I would want to see it go. I would absolutely drop from 4 to 9 to get DK Metcalf. That gives us DK Metcalf 9 and 10 in this draft. I would do that in a second. Now, again, I don't think it's happening, but there you go, Craig. That's what we think. So let's talk about the mock a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and set it up here. So just to make sure, you got to watch me, Luke. I am known to make major mistakes with this, picking 1 round or 3 rounds, and it ends in the middle. So look, we got the New York Jets. That's us. We're going to pick 7 rounds. You see it, right? You see it. And we're going to go normal speed. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to hit pause right now so we can't see anything. So whenever we come up to our pick, guys, this is the way it's going to go. Whenever we come up to our pick, I am going to talk about it with Luke. We'll see which players are available and everything. And then we're going to make a brief poll, okay? And you guys will vote in the poll. We're going to do it like maybe 2 minutes of the poll. So when I put the poll up, I want you guys to know there's not going to be 15 minutes. Vote right now. You know, as soon as the poll goes up, get your vote in so we can get closest to what majority wants. I always hate when guys tell me later they were in the stream and they hated everything that we picked. It's like, well, vote. You know, you guys are the bosses. Me and Luke are here just talking about it. It's essentially the chat's mock. You know what I mean? So what is it? I got a whole bunch of super chats, it looks like, but I can't see them. Let me see what happened here. There they go. All right, let me touch on these, and then we're going to get started. We got a let me make sure I didn't miss one. I need to get Jeremy on here. Where's Jeremy? Is he around there?
I saw
Jeremy from NFL. Yeah, is he around? Maybe I got to send him the link and get him in here because I lose track. Cadoza, what's up, buddy? He says, let me be the third wheel in this mock. Love you, brother. Throw me on the video. You know what, Cadoza, I actually have my Patreon, guys. When people join my Patreon, one of the benefits of tier 3 is they get to be a co-host on the mock. I would love to have you in the Beanbaggers, Cadoza. I would love to have you on, but right now all the slots are kind of taken with those, you know, obviously guests like Luke and my Patreon guys, the Beanbaggers. So if you want in, go ahead and join the Beanbaggers, and I'll third wheel you any day you want, man. Any Monday that you want. Knifey Spoony says, read a crazy article suggesting trading Mackay straight up for DK. Zero chance that happens, but would you do that and take an offensive lineman at the top of the draft? Luke, what do you think of that? Would you trade Mackay Becton for DK Metcalf straight up? This way, we still have 4 and 9. We could take Icky. We could take Neil, whoever's there. What do you think of that?
So this came from a report on one of the PFF podcasts with Trevor and with Connor Rogers. So I know that's where this kind of originated and got some legs from. I wouldn't do it because, and this is why. In 2020, I was bullish. There was a huge debate, O-line versus wide receiver. And I was on offensive line the entire time. Why? Because I thought it was a better position at the top of the draft, like we mentioned with defense in 2022. But also, it's so much more of a difficult position to fill. If Mackay Becton is an all-pro or a second-team all-pro tackle, and DK Metcalf is a second-team all-pro wide receiver, I know which one does more for your team and which one is more difficult to find. Wide receiver is the most deep position in any of the last 3 drafts. I love DK Metcalf. But give me a guy that can play like Trent Williams over someone that has the potential to get 1,200-1,300 yards a season. So personally, I'm not touching it. I agree with what Knifey Spoony said. There's no chance this happens. I think this is just absolute fluff coming from people who want something to talk about and to draft Ickham to the Jets. So I'm not worried about it, but I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's look, every media person out there now knows all you got to do is mention the Jets. Just say the craziest thing about the Jets. Jets fans will flood to your site, call you names, throw mud, argue with themselves. We start stabbing each other. That's how Jets fans are. You know, it doesn't matter. So that's what they're doing. I think it's a bunch of baloney as well. And I agree with Luke 100%, man. I wouldn't touch that. As much as I like DK Metcalf, the way Luke just said it is perfect. And I'll say this too. I was big on tackle over wide receiver in that draft as well. And I was also very happy with the Mackay Becton pick. And I was happy with Mackay Becton's rookie year. I don't know what everybody's so crazy about. with Mekhi Becton. Let's just give him a second to come back from the injury, and we'll be fine. One more, and then we're getting this draft started. Rick Cuccinello says, what do you guys think of 2 wide receivers in the second, Watson and Pierce? Well, what do you think of that? And then, guys, don't forget, we're going to get into the draft here, and we're going to talk about all this stuff. But I do appreciate the super chats, and if you have these comments, of course, we want to get to them, but we don't want to tip our hand too much. We're going to get to the second round in a few minutes, Rick. But what do you think about that, Luke? 2 wide receivers in the second, 35 and 38.
I'd be more comfortable double dipping there than going 10 and 35, like I've heard some people suggest in the last kind of 24, 48 hours after the Jets haven't got a wide receiver. So I'd be more comfortable with it, but I still think this team has so many holes in so many crucial positions. They need to come out with a good player in the back half of the secondary. And if they don't get one at 10, like we mentioned with Sauce or Hamilton, then I think you start to need to look at one there. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's plausible. I think it would make sense for the Jets because they need depth and they need talent. But I don't think it's the ideal move for me anyway. But we'll see how this mock draft unfolds and how the board leads us.
Right. Yeah. So I think I think there's a panic right now going around Jets Twitter and everything about the wide receivers. I don't feel it. I understand it, but I don't feel it at all. I think that we're fine. We have 9 picks. Don't forget, we still have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore. We just re-signed Berrios, who they think is actually a wide receiver 3, not a wide receiver 4. I think we're going to see him in that role a bit more. Plus, we have Denzel Mims, who Jets fans have given up on, but I feel pretty good that the Jets staff hasn't given up on a 6'3" wide receiver who has 4 years of production and 1 down year after salmon and COVID and everything else. So I think we have guys taking 1 wide receiver in the second, maybe a flyer on a 5th. I think will be more than adequate. And we have Jeff Smith. And who doesn't love Jeff Smith, right? All right, so let's get this started. I see another super chat. We'll get to that in a minute, Yoitz. So here we go, guys. We're going to watch how this draft, the first 3 picks unfold, and then we'll start talking about it. Here we go. Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Come on, what's this thing doing? Here we go. All right. Ooh, look at this. Okay. All right, Luke. So first off, Evan Neal, Aiden Hutchinson, and Kayvon Thibodeau are gone. Okay, so that's 2 of the top edge rushers that most people are in love with. They're gone. But on top of that, we have 3 trade offers. So, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to look at the trade offers. Then I'll make a poll, and we'll see if you guys want it, and I'll have an option for no trade. So look at this one, Luke. The Saints want us to go back to 18. They'll give us 49, 98, a second, and a 4th next year. Interesting. The Patriots want us to come in, and they want us to go a couple picks further back, 21. They'll give us 54, 85, a second, and a 3rd next year. So that's a little bit better on the back end. And then we have the Vikings. They're mad about us taking Tyler Conklin. They want us to go back to pick 12. And don't forget, we traded with them for AVT last year. We have a great relationship with the Vikings. They want us to go back 8 spots. They'll give us 46, 77, and next year's second. So, Luke, I'm going to go ahead and create this poll. What do you think about any of these trades? Are you into the trades?
It's interesting because from my perspective, when you're moving back to, I think the Saints are pick 18, the Patriots were 21, that's a long way to go down without getting extra first in return. And I know there was a couple of second round picks, but once they go back a year, so the 2023 picks, generally the rule of thumb in NFL circles is that a pick that's 1 year down the road gets devalued by one round in the draft. So a 2023 second is worth a 3rd round today. That's just how the NFL values it because you're pushing an asset away. You don't get the return immediately, and that's how it looks. If I'm moving back 14 spots from the number 4 spot, I want a first in return. In saying that, I like picking up a mid-40s pick and a pick in the 70s. That's fantastic. But again, your chance of hitting at those spots is significantly lower. But this is the main decider, GreenBean. With the 2 edges off the board, I was stoked with Evan Neal going 1. That's perfect for me. But with the 2 edges going, do the Jets feel strongly enough about Kyle Hamilton or one of the other guys? So that's going to be the question.
Right. So, you know what? We might have to have that discussion. So who do we like? Is it worth not trading back? So guys, I put the poll in there. All right. If it's not in your stream, just hit refresh. It'll pop up in your chat. It should be there though. So the options are the Saints. Let me look at it again. So we have the Vikings to go to pick 12, the Pats to go to 21, and the Saints to go to 18. It's similar compensation. I will say the Pats are out because they already want us to go further back in the first, and they give us a lower or a higher, however you look at it, lower second round pick. So they're offering 49 and they're offering 54. So that's already kind of they're losing value there. The Vikings at 12 is interesting because it's 8 slots back. It gives us 10 and 12, and then we get 3 seconds, 2/3, and then we have a little capital for next year as well. So let's say this while they're voting in the chat. Who are the players? Luke just brought up Kyle Hamilton. He brought up, he just said maybe one of the other edge players. So who is it? Let's get some comments in the chat. Who are the players? Is there a guy that we don't want to pass? Is it Kyle Hamilton? We know that if we don't pick him here, more than likely not making it to 10 or 12. More than likely, right? It can happen. Weird shit happens all the time, but it might not happen. So Colton Brunning is saying Kyle Hamilton. Don't forget to vote in the poll, everybody. I want to know what you think. So I see another Kyle Hamilton from JE. Let's see. They're saying Abe's saying the trade is perfect with the Vikings. I think that is. Everybody's saying it looks like if they are going to want to accept it, they want the Vikings one, Luke. Do you think that's probably, if you're going to entertain one, it looks like maybe the Vikings on your end?
Going down the least in the first round, only moving down 8 slots, as you mentioned, that's a win. You get a higher second round pick than what the Patriots offer. Pick 77 was higher than I think they had, maybe pick 85 or something, the Patriots. So I think it's the one that makes the most sense. You get the immediate return. Are they going to call us again after the AVT trade and after the Chris Herndon trade? I'm not sure in real life, but for me, I think the 3 guys, and I'll give my perspective. I don't want Trayvon Walker that high. I think he's a good prospect, but it's super toolsy and it's a big projection. I think you're picking between Sauce, Hamilton, Iquanu, or a trade with the Vikings. I think, to me, they're the only options I would consider personally.
All right, so Sauce, Kyle Hamilton, and did you say Trayvon? I'm sorry. Who was the third?
No, Iquanu.
Iquanu. Got it. Sorry. So look, here's how the PFN is stacking them. The sim. They got Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner right there. So, and then look, oddly enough, Icky's right there too. And then we have guys like Garrett Wilson, Jordan Davis, who seems to be the darling of the newer group of Jets fans entering the fray. Everybody all of a sudden wants a defensive tackle up top, Luke. It's driving me batty. And then we have some edge rushers here. We got Trayvon Walker, Karlaftis, and the rest. So it's going to be interesting here. Guys, I'm going to look at the poll right now. I'm going to close this poll down. Okay. I see that there is a winner with 52%. Let's see what it is. I don't know who won. Let's go. Come on, send it up. Where is it? Come on, YouTube. Okay. No trade wins by 52%, Luke. So, okay. The trades are off the board. Here's the big board, guys. There's only been 3 players taken, so we don't need to dissect too much. Every player except Evan Neal, Aiden Hutchinson, and Kayvon Thibodeau are still there. So let's do this. I'm going to make a poll. Luke gave us 3 players, and I'm going to stick to it. All right. We have Kyle Hamilton, Sauce Gardner, and Iquanu. Those are the guys. You know what? I'm going to add Karlaftis to them, or maybe I'll add the highest rated edge rusher on their board. I'm going to add Trayvon Walker just so there's an edge. And we'll see. So, okay, guys, I'm going to make a poll with the top 4 players. Let's see. Pick. All right. We got, so who you taking here? If you had your choice, Luke, who is it?
I'm taking Sauce Gardner, and that's because I value the corner position higher than I do safety. I think the safeties in the second round are a better value, but I also just think if you look at his tape at Cincinnati, it was pretty incredible. And look, I'm super high on Stingley too. I know Stingley's got more risk, so we're not going to really touch on him, but Sauce's ability in man, The hip fluidity for a 6'2" athlete was off the charts. His zone coverage is where he really excels. You could see him in quarters in cover 3. He's a perfect scheme fit. Is he quite the talent of Kyle Hamilton? Maybe not. But when you factor in positional scarcity and positional value in the NFL, I think that's why I would go Sauce. I think it gives you more options to go edge than at number 10. That's why I wouldn't take Walker there. So my instincts tell me to go for Sauce. That's kind of what I would do.
Sauce Gardner. Interesting. You're not alone, I imagine. I mean, a lot of people, especially after the combine, there has been a surge in Sauce Gardner love after that really wonderful combine that he pulled together. Before the combine, it was sparing. They were out there. They were definitely out there, but it was more Sauce at 10. After the combine, Sauce at 4. So I'm going to be interested to see how this goes. I do think that it's going to end up being Sauce. I will tell you, I'll make this public. There's no way I'm passing Kyle Hamilton here, especially because Aiden Hutchinson and Thibodeau are off the board. I'm taking Kyle Hamilton, and I'm going to wait till 10 and see which edge rusher shakes out. I know what one of them that I like is going to be there. But in the meantime, I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds. Yoitz checks in, and he wants to know how long it takes for me to grow my beard. Well, I don't know, because I've been growing it for, it's got to be 25 years. So, but I do trim it and everything else. I've shaved it a few times, and I guess maybe it takes to get this months, man. But I can grow a beard in 3 days. I have a beard. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, but this thing that you see before you, Yoitz Vin, is, this is quite a bit of work, my friend. This takes a lot of berries and oils and all kinds of good stuff. So brushes and, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. Let's just say a couple days for the beard, the base beard, and a couple months to look like Santa Claus. So there you go. All right, let me get another super chat in. We're going to close the poll in just a second here. Where is it? Where did it go? Come on. Oh, my God, there's so many comments. Jake checks in. Sauce, give us the pie. I did already, Jake. You're jumping the gun. Well, thank you, Jake. He's a typical Jets fan, right, Jake? It's like, hey, man, come on. What are you guys doing? ZZ Gable checks in. He says, trade-ups lead to potential disaster. You never hear of a failed trade down. Get a stud, player, and another pick. It takes a village. What do you think? Would you rather trade up or trade down when the chips are down? I know it's situational, but just as a general rule of thumb, which way would you tend to lean?
I know that, the analytics in sports now and PFF and companies like this have really shifted people's view, because trading up used to be what everyone wanted to do, but now they talk about having more shots at the dartboard. And if you have more picks, you have a higher chance of success rate. My pushback is still, if you're picking higher, you get a choice of a wire value of or rounds of players. And if you look at the edge position, I did a breakdown, if you go on my Twitter, where I looked at the edges drafted between 2016 and 2021. And realistically, if you don't take one in the top 4, you're not getting an edge, or the chances are you're not getting an edge that's going to be a premium blue chip player. Outside of TJ Watt in the 3rd round, Yannick Ngakoue was about the best that's come out. So I still kind of lean that standing pat or trading up is a really good move, but GMs have definitely trended towards trading down.
Right. And it's funny because in order to trade down, someone has to trade up, right? Like it takes 2 to tango. But I think I'm in agreement, man. I mean, these days I'm looking to more acquire capital and go the value route. I know that can be a negative word in some ways, but there's a lot to be said for it. It's like maximizing, squeezing the lemon for all it's worth. But I got to say, top 5 pick where we sit right now, I'd really like to come home with a top 5 player, I think. That's my 2 cents. So the poll is in. It is a landslide. Sauce Gardner is going to be our pick. Kyle Hamilton had 21%, and Sauce Gardner had 50%. So there he comes. We're going to bring home a cornerback at 4. Sauce Gardner, here he comes. Let's see what the Giants did. They grabbed Icky. Ooh, the Panthers grabbed Malik Willis, which I think is actually becoming more and more realistic, Luke. I actually think that Detroit might panic and grab Malik Willis. That's what I'm thinking. Right, man? People don't know. People aren't paying attention out there, I don't think. So, all right, guys, we are at pick 10. We have 4 trade offers. Jeez Louise. All right, so the Bengals want us to go back to 31. That is a huge drop. 21 picks down the line. They'll give us 63.95, a second, and a sixth next year. Dallas wants us to go 14 picks back and give 163 for 56 in next year's second. The Bills want to get in on the action. They want us to go to 25, and they also want 163. They'll give us 57 and a second next year. And the Bucks, the Tom Brady's, want us to go back 17 spots. They'll give us pick 60, a second and third next year. So I'm going to go ahead and make the poll, Luke. But any of these trades strike your fancy here?
There is not a chance I am trading down right now with Kyle Hamilton, Trayvon Walker, and JJ on the board as well. There's no way, like, it's too far to go for me. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. There's no way I'm trading down here because I actually, if you look at Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks on their Move the Sticks podcast, they did one the other day where this exact situation played out. They took Sauce Gardner at number 4, and then Kyle Hamilton slid. You see it all the time with safeties. This could realistically happen. This isn't one of those simulators where you go, well, that's not going to happen in real life, because the best people are mocking it. It's traditionally what happens. So do you take 2 defensive backs and go, we could build the Legion of Boom right now? Or do you stick with the plan and take an edge? It's a great discussion. I'm interested to see what the people are going to do.
Yeah, it is going to be great. This is going to be an interesting one. So we had a guy like Luke said. So let's get the trades off for a second. The poll is up. Interestingly enough, I didn't have enough options. So no trade is not in there. So we're going to see how I do this. I haven't figured it out yet, but let's talk for a second. We look at who's on the board. Kyle Hamilton slipped. We were just discussing him. 21% of the group wanted Kyle Hamilton at 4. So here he is at 10. This should gain a few more people that would vote for Kyle Hamilton. But then we have the top defensive tackle, Jordan Davis. He had a strong combine as well. We have a tackle, Charles Cross, widely considered one of the top 3 tackles in this draft. Trayvon Walker is there, so we can get our edge. We have Tyler Linderbaum, the early darling of Jet Nation. That's who they loved early on. 90% of Jets fans, all their mocks, I saw Tyler Linderbaum with one of their picks. Derek Stingley is there. And let's whittle it down. I want to look at all the edge rushers that are left. So poor David Ajabo, what a crushing blow that is to a guy like that. Walking around in shorts at his pro day, tears his Achilles. But here we got Trayvon Walker, Jermaine Johnson, Ojabo, Boye Mafe, and Drake Williams are kind of up top. So those are our edge. Are there any edge rushers there? Are you still comfortable using the 10th pick on any one of those top 4 or 5 guys, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I would. Let's say, for example, Hamilton isn't there in a scenario. I would debate there between Walker and Johnson. And I'd take the production and the bend of Johnson against the traits, the arm length, and just the raw ability and talent of Trayvon Walker. So I'd be comfortable taking either. In this instance, you have the added, confusion of Hamilton being on the board too, but I'm comfortable with either of those. I know that Johnson's 23rd ranked here. I think he's a better player than that. I know he's a senior and some people think he has a limited floor, but I think he's a heck of a player and I'd be comfortable taking any of those 3. But something I think to note for Jets fans, when it comes to the turn of the first round and we have picks 35 and 38, do you think that a David Ajabo makes more sense for us because we have 2 second-round picks? If he's there, do you scoop him up and say, we're still getting a second round to produce? Will he fall? So I think these all need to be a consideration when you're making that vote.
Yeah, it's interesting with Ojabo. How far will he slide? You know, will there be guys that just take him off the board? I actually heard today, now I don't know how solid it is, but I was told today that the Jets did scratch him off their board. But I don't know how accurate it is, but it's sad, number 1. But number 2, if a guy like David Ojabo, who was really being considered in the first round, is sitting there in the late 2nd or 3rd round, I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, you have to consider it. I know he's not going to contribute right away, but you're getting a first-round talent in the 3rd round, so I would consider it. I want to catch up with the Super Chats real fast while they're voting. Josh checked in. He says, Sauce at 4 and Edge to Brass Liking at 10. I don't know what Brass Liking is. You know what that means, Luke?
Yeah,
the
brass is liking. Whoever the Jets front office think is their edge at 10.
Oh, the brass. Thank you. Thank God Luke's here. I would have been stumbling on that one for a half hour. Double dip at wide receiver 35-38. Just my opinion. What do you guys think? Love the channel, Green Bean. Well, thank you, Josh. Well, so far your dreams are coming true because half of what we did is exactly what you said, Josh. So congrats, buddy. I'm 0-1. And then we have, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Terrible Takes. He says, gotta be Sauce. Hamilton, rather have Jamal Adams, dude. And that's why you will always be Mr. Terrible Take. And that is you. I love Mr. Terrible, but damn, is he crazy. Would you rather have Jamal Adams over Kyle Hamilton, or would you rather take a swing at Hamilton?
I think you'd rather have the guy who's more elite in coverage. Look, I think our perception of Jamal has been slightly morphed by the fact that he acted the way he did before he left and wanting to go to Dallas and acting like a child and his dad's influence and all those kind of things. He was good in coverage, but he's not Kyle Hamilton. If you're an eraser on the back end, that gives you so much more value than being the Swiss Army knife and being able to sack some people and be good in the box. You always take the elite talent on the back end. So I'd rather Hamilton, especially at 10, just maybe not at 4.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Look, in every mock, every sim is different. I've seen Hamilton, the number 1 overall pick. I've seen, Aiden Hutchinson sitting there at 10. It's crazy shit happens with the sims, and crazy stuff happens in the draft. Last year, guys were talking like Rob V is in the chat now, calling people idiots. Like, number 1, Rob V, tone it down, Sugar Plums. There's no reason to call anybody an idiot because they don't agree with you. I guarantee that there are people that think you're an idiot. So let's just cool it. And there's no reason to do that. And I wanted Kyle Hamilton. So I take that personally, Rob V. You're calling me an idiot, you bastard. But the thing is that like last year, I was called an idiot. We had a mock and I said that Creed Humphrey might not be a first round pick. Now, I loved Creed Humphrey. I want you to know that. But I was looking at it and I'm like, you know what? I could see Creed Humphrey slide a little bit. I got called an absolute idiot, 0% chance. Creed Humphrey made it to the bottom of the second. DK Metcalf made it to the bottom of the second. Like, weird shit happens, man. It happens every single year. So why don't we calm down? Nobody in this chat, neither Luke or myself, are the be-all, end-all. So take it easy, buddy. So, all right, Jorge checks in. He says, Jets fans, that's enough with trading down. Take the best player available. That's right, and that's what Luke and I were kind of talking about, man. Is that, sometimes at some point you really got to consider we're up here. We want to have a winning record next year. So we might not be up this high again. And even if we have incremental success, if we get to 7 wins, we're not going to have a top 5 pick. So why don't we take our opportunity and grab a top 5 player? There's a lot of logic to that. Jake says trade offers are booty. Got to take a pick here. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to end up doing. I got to check because I don't know what the hell I did with that one. Let's see, because it's hard because I don't have enough options. The Cowboys trade. Let's look at the Cowboys trade and here's how we're going to do it, Luke. So the Cowboys trade 1. So that's the only one we're going to consider. We have 10 and 163 for 24, 56 and a second. I'm going to give Luke the final say. You guys got us to Dallas is the only one we're going to consider. And I'm going to say, Luke, make the decision. Dallas trade or you're taking a pick here.
I think I showed my cards a little earlier, but I'm taking the pick here. I mean, for me, you're sliding down 14 spots to get a guy like maybe, I don't know, a linebacker there. Is that worth dropping 14 spots in the first round and getting the equal of a value 3rd round pick next year? It's just not for me.
All right. Makes sense. And I think I'm looking at the comments too. I think more people don't want the trade, which it's fine. So, all right. So for our next pick, we're going to go pick 10. Here it is. Look, I like this poll thing. I do, but I got to say it's slower than what we used to do, guys. It's a little bit more systematic. So we're going to put these players. Luke, you tell me if I'm going the wrong way. Don't be afraid to shout it out. I'm going to put Trayvon Walker up there. Okay. We're going to put Kyle Hamilton up there. We are going, let me look at it again. Let me see who's there. So we're going to put Jermaine Johnson up there. And here people get mad because they say that the edge rushers are going to be split right now. You know what I mean? So you have 2 groups that are picking the same position. So you think, I don't know, but I got to put them up there, right? They're up there for real. So what do I do?
I think you have to put them both in there. I understand it's going to dilute the vote, but realistically, we're picking prospects, not just positions. So I think it's important. I think I think, look, it's Garrett Wilson would be another one to throw in if he wasn't there. Do people want London there? I'm not sure if you need a fourth, but I think those three you mentioned are the first three guys that have to be in the poll.
I agree. You're awesome. So I'm going to throw Garrett Wilson in there for the receiver crew. That's what we're going to do. I mean, look, I know people, you have the Traylon Burks guys that are still out there. You have the Drake London guys that are out there, and you have the Garrett Wilson guys.
Garrett's gone at 8.
Oh, he's gone. So is Drake London there?
He's there. I mean, I think he makes the most sense out of what Jets fans are wanting anyway. I think he'd be the more popular pick right now.
Okay, fair enough. So here we go. The poll is coming. Here's our player selections. Now, guys, I want to remind you there are almost 400 people in this chat, and I'm hovering right around 140 likes, it looks like. Let me make sure that's accurate. So if you have a second, 145 likes. Now is the time. It's the easiest thing you can do. The YouTube algorithm just eats it up. It loves it. It makes me think I'm doing a good job. Go ahead and hit that like button. It helps immensely, much more than you think. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, that's equally simple. Just hit that little rectangular subscribe button. And I put out just about daily content. I put out my long form podcast yesterday talking about the freak out about wide receivers and all the reasons that you shouldn't. It's about a 55-minute episode. I have another one coming out later tonight for tomorrow. The next day, we do the Thursday night thick of it. We do the Sunday gripe. All kinds of fun stuff. All you got to do to get in on it is subscribe to the channel, and you'll be reminded every time that I put something out. But first and foremost, hit that like button. It's so easy to do. Luke, do you hit the like button on videos that you like?
I liked it twice. You know what? When you were speaking then, I jumped over to the Play Like a Jet YouTube, and I liked it from there as well. So why I'm doing it twice, surely the rest of you can do it once. So come on.
There you go. That is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. You know, it's funny, Luke, that you say that. I have 5 YouTube channels, right? I literally have my coaster channel. I have my personal channel. I have this one. I have some other ones. And when I really like someone, like Jeremy can attest to this. NFL Chaos with Jeremy is helping us out in the back. Make sure I don't miss any of your super chats and all that. And Jeremy will tell you, I've actually gone on and commented, like I'm liking his video 5 times. I'm subscribing 5 times, just like what Luke said. If I can do it 5 times, if Luke can do it 2 times, you could do it once. What do you think? All right, so let me check this poll. I'll try to check the poll. I don't know. Jeremy, you got to let me know. Did I miss any super chats? The last one I got was Thomas Cahill. Did I get Thomas? Or did I get Jake was the last one I got. So I'll get Thomas Cahill. Please let me know if I'm missing another one, but we're going to go ahead and check the poll. Here it is. I'm ending it. Hopefully you got your votes in, and it is over. Let's see. 169 of you voted. We have Kyle Hamilton, 31%, and Jermaine Johnson, 31%. Incredible. Incredible. Okay, well, that means this is the lightning poll. All right, lightning poll. We're going to do Hamilton and Johnson. These are our final 2 options. It's coming up, guys. The poll is there. Go ahead and vote for either Kyle Hamilton or Jermaine Johnson. I'm going to tell you really honest, Luke, this is a good scenario for me. I happen to like both players immensely, and I think whoever we get, we've done a good job. Do you feel similarly, or do you not like Jermaine Johnson?
I think it's a great situation at 10. I didn't love where we were at 4. I think I liked Thibodeau, and I made that pretty clear. But as much as I want an edge, it's so difficult to pass on Kyle Hamilton here. Like, it's really tough, because I just look at him as, if he is that overused word, but generational safety. But do you want a guy like Johnson? It's funny, if I was the Giants, I would have taken Trayvon Walker over Williams, because he's a scheme fit. He's better on stunts. He can shift inside. Wink Martindale's defense is perfect for him. But that's why I don't think he's a great fit here. So I think they did a great job with Johnson and Hamilton. I think you have the best 2 picks on the board. So I'm intrigued to see where we land.
It's interesting too. Like the sim has been unkind to Jameson Williams as of late, but to see him taken at 7, do you think that it's realistic that Jameson Williams with the injury can be taken in the top 10 of this draft?
Top 10, no. I think he's going to go top 20 still. I think there'll be NFL offices that think, or front offices that think he's the best receiver in the draft. I honestly do. And I think if he wasn't injured, he'd be up there, probably surpassing Garrett Wilson, who most people think is the number one wide receiver. So I think the injury knocks him to that 15 to 20 range, but I think he definitely goes there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be real hard for teams to pass him up, but it's going to be, like you said, toward the back end of the draft, teams that have a little bit more established. Maybe they have 2 wide receivers. They can wait a little bit longer for their first round pick to contribute. I think it's going to be real hard for these guys to pass up a guy like Jameson Williams. Thomas Cahill says you have to take Hamilton here. Well, Thomas, I'm going to tell you, you got to get your vote in, buddy. If you have 12 YouTube channels, go get 12 votes in, buddy. You can do it. I don't know who is going to win, because I know that there is a significant group that are in favor of drafting Kyle Hamilton, but I honestly believe, even though I am among that group, I think that the group that would not touch him is larger in Jetnation. So that just is what it is, man. Let me check what Jeremy's saying. Did I miss something? Oh, Ryan is here. Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. Hey, thank you, Jeremy. He told me Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 is in the chat. I want to remind you guys that Ryan, the Talking Jets panel on Ryan's Jets Talk 24/7 channel, is going to be absolutely lit for the draft. We are going live for all 3 days of the draft. This will be our 3rd consecutive year doing it. We have all sorts of crazy guests coming on. I've invited Luke, who will tell me if he's allowed to be on as well. Not allowed, but if you're able to be on. That came out wrong. I'm not allowed, man. My mom. But Luke might even be coming on. We have all kinds of guests confirmed. Sabo, Blewett, obviously the Alis and the Richies of the world. All kinds of great guys are coming on. But we are going to have contests and all kinds of fun stuff all 3 days of the draft on Jets Talk 24/7. It's going to be epic, man. So, all right, I'm going to end this poll, and we're going to see who won. I think it's going to be Johnson. Let me see. That's what I think. I'm sad. I wanted Kyle Hamilton. I would love to go ahead and take a nice defensive back. Oh, Johnson won. I think that would have been cool to go ahead cornerback and safety and piss everybody off. But all right, so Jermaine Johnson is the pick, guys. Good job. Let's see where he is. Where the hell did he go? There he is. Okay. So at 10, the New York Jets select edge rusher from Florida State, Jermaine Johnson. Not bad, guys. And look, Kyle Hamilton immediately following to the Washington Commanders. There it is. All right. So we got a cornerback and an edge rusher. Who do you think? What position do you think would be our priority? Obviously, we have to wait and see how it falls, but what's your priority position? Is it still receiver?
I think I'm looking at wide receiver and safety. I think they're the two that make sense. I think there's some good talent in both those areas at the turn of the first round.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking a wide receiver. Now, let me ask you this. I was just talking to Luke before we started, guys, and he made an exceptional video of our new acquisitions, our tight ends, Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzoma. Now, the fact that we grabbed those two guys who Luke seems to think is a very good combo for the New York Jets offense, do you think it's still possible that the Jets would consider going tight end in the second round, that so many of us thought they would, with maybe a Trey McBride or something before free agency? Do you still think it's possible?
I don't in the second round. Look, there was no one riding the Trey McBride bandwagon harder than I was. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's the ideal fit for this system as an inline tight end that can do great things above his head and outside his frame as a ball catcher. But I don't think they will now. I think there's more premium positions they need to attack still. I think that's a pretty deep class. I think in the fourth round, if a guy like Isaiah Likely falls, Jeremy Ruckert, someone like that, you may look at them addressing the position there. But I don't think McBride's going to be on the board here for the Jets or on their table.
You know what? I think I agree with you, man. I wouldn't be blown away if they just said, you know what? Screw it. We're going 14 personnel. That's what we're doing. We're going to lump up. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised, but I think you're probably right, because it's a strong tight end class and a deep tight end class. And I think you can definitely get a guy like Ferguson or Dulcich or Kolar or any of those guys in the fourth round. So Scarcities checks in. He says he was high on Hamilton until he saw a ton of clips of him getting exposed in man coverage and taking awful pursuit angles against the run. Well, it's interesting with one of his knocks is that he takes bad angles, but the trick with him is that he has been relying on his exceptional athleticism for his whole career. So he was able to take bad angles and make up for it. Because he's essentially, in many respects, a man amongst boys out there. He's the most athletic guy on the field most of the time. But it's really something that can be coached out very, very simply. The bad angle thing. It's not that big of a deal. Now, the man coverage thing is interesting because he's not a cornerback. Now, he's been asked to play cornerback, and he can play cornerback, but he's not asked to be in man all that much. But is that a concern for you with Kyle Hamilton as far as his kind of lackluster man coverage performance?
No, I don't think so, because as much as these guys get used like chess pieces in college football, he's going to step into the NFL and he's going to be a free safety. And if he plays man, it's going to be stepping up in the box and going against George Kittle or someone like that. He's not going to be covering slot receivers and boundary receivers. It's just not what he's going to be asked to do in the NFL. It's exactly the same as Joyner when he joined the Vegas Raiders or whatever they were at that stage. They asked him to play nickel slot. He couldn't do it, so they revert him back to free safety, and he's going to be really good for us this year. So I think if you draft Kyle Hamilton, you're drafting him to play safety. The angles actually worry me a little bit more. Joe Blewett was someone that said the exact same thing. So it'll be interesting, but I think he's still a great player.
Yeah. Well, think about it, man. I mean, that's the one knock that we really have with him is that he takes bad angles. Again, he's been able, it's like when a guy like a big, strong offensive lineman like Mekhi Becton, they don't have to really rely on technique as much as somebody that's not as strong. And they find themselves just kind of leaning into their comfort zone with just bull rushing people, just strength. And they can get away with that in college. And then in the NFL, they have to, not everybody's, able to be pushed around like that. So you see them, they have to concentrate on technique a little bit more. It's a very, very similar scenario with Kyle Hamilton. But I get it. Steve Love checks in. He says, I bet this is exactly how JD does his draft with polls. I think, you know what? I think that if JD had 394 people in the room with him, he might actually bring out a poll, man. He don't have 380 or 390 in there with him. I'll tell you that, Steve. Okay, so we are at pick 35, man. The first of our kind of first round picks. The second round has begun. Now, Chicago wants us to slide back 4 spots, and they'll give us a third next year. The Bucks want us to go back. Ooh, what is that? 25 spots, and give them 146 for 91 and a second. I don't like that one one bit, actually, Luke. But the Chicago trade is interesting. I'm going to put it in a poll. Any interest on your end, either one of these trades?
Depends who's on the board. I mean, I think I'll have a closer look. But if a guy like Christian Watson is there, I think I want to run to the podium and take him. If he's not, then I think you definitely... JD does this all the time. There's a bubble of players, and if one doesn't stand out above them, then you trade back and you're happy to take someone within that bubble. He did it with Denzel Mims in 2020. I know it didn't work, but that's his philosophy. If there's one player he's banging the table for, he'll take him. If not, he'll slide back 5 spots and he'll take the extra pick.
Right. I agree. And now it's interesting. We're going to take a look at who took a little hiatus from our ability to draft them. Who's gone? So look at all these guys. We got Trayvon Walker is gone. Tyler Linderbaum is gone. Trevor Penning went 13th before Charles Cross. That is an interesting development. We lost a cornerback, Elam, but we're okay because we got Sauce Gardner, of course. Lost a bunch of cornerbacks there. Booth, Stingley, McDuffie, they're all gone. But some safeties that we like, Daxton Hill, and I saw Scene is also gone. Guard Zion Johnson, both of the top 2 linebackers are gone by many people's assumption. Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean. Perion Winfrey's gone. And, another safety, Brisker, is also gone. So we took quite a hit there. There's a lot of players that Jets fans tend to like. They are gone. But look at this one, Luke. Number 29 right here. I'll make it a little bit larger so you guys can see it. Kenyon Green is still there. You have any thoughts on Green?
I think he is fantastic. Like you see this big strapping dude and he plays guard obviously for A&M and you think, yeah, but how is he climbing to the second level and doing that kind of thing? I watched some early tape of him from 2021 and I couldn't believe how mobile he was climbing and how strong he is at the point of attack. I think he's a fantastic player. If the Jets hadn't made the move for Tomlinson and they were rolling into it with a bit more of a question mark, I would be drafting Kenyon Green. I think that kind of takes it off the table. Where's he going to play? He's not going to play center. The 2 guard spots are pretty much filled for the next 3 years, but I think he's a phenomenal prospect.
Yeah, right. That's a very good point. I almost forgot for a second that we drafted, or not drafted, but that we signed Laken Tomlinson. I was just thinking to myself, how the hell are we not talking about guard? But that's why, Luke. That's why. So look, guys, we got Traylon Burks sitting there. We got Ojabo, who slid out of the first round. We also have another edge rusher that we know the Jets like. It's Boye Mafe. He kind of took control of the Senior Bowl. We also have another receiver a lot of Jets fans like, Jahan Dotson. A little bit different than the Drake Londons of the world, but he's a good one. Drake Jackson, the edge rushers there, and we have some tight ends and linebackers. Muma and Harris are both there along with Trey McBride. So let's find out if we want this trade. I'm going to go ahead and end it. And it looks like no trade. I think that's what I just saw. Let me make sure. Yep, 84% said hell no to the trade, so we'll leave them off the board. Now we got to talk about players, okay? We're going to talk about players here. Let me make sure I didn't miss a super chat. Jeremy, what do you got for me, buddy? Don't forget Steve Love. I got Steve. Another from Steve Love. Okay, let me find this. Let me find the Steve Love super chat, and then we're going to talk. If you had to pick the position right now, Luke, who is it?
I think both position and need, and also the talent available, I'd pick a wide receiver. I see a guy on there who a lot of people have compared to Deebo Samuel, but I see him more like A.J. Brown stylistically, and I think he would be very difficult to pass up on here.
And I'm sorry, who was that? Traylon Burks?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, if we go receiver, that's the guy I want. He was in the discussion. I know the combine. Everybody, they were walking into the combine. 80% of Jets fans were like, Burks at 10, Burks at 10. He runs a 4.59, and they're like, he's a second-round pick. Just like that. Yeah. Just like that. That's how quick that one happened. Steve Love checks in. He's like, can't be mad at Sauce at 4, Hamilton at 10. If KT, if not, maybe Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, well, obviously this one came in a little bit earlier, Steve Love. I apologize. But again, we got Sauce and we got Jermaine Johnson at 10. So we definitely got our edge rusher. I think this is very close to what a lot of people are hoping, man. If you come out of that top 10 with an edge, whether it's safety, cornerback, wide receiver at 10, I think we're going to be okay. We need that edge rusher up top. That's my thought. So, guys, we are going to go ahead and throw some players up there for you guys. Knowing you all as well as I do, we're going to put Traylon Burks. We're going to put I'm going to make it between the linebackers, the wide receivers, and we'll throw tight end up there to see if we still have some of those guys hanging around. All right. We know what they did. We signed 2 tight ends in free agency. Let me see here. So Luke says he wants Traylon Burks. So I'm going to put him in there. That's the receiver, I think. Then we'll put Chad Muma. And we'll put McBride, who was for like a month and a half, Luke. Pick 35 was Trey McBride 100% of the time. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And now, nope.
Free agency, it changes everything, doesn't it? It's just wild how quickly things and our perceptions of players can change.
It's amazing. Colton Brunning checks in. He says, boy, GreenBean, I'm disappointed in 57% of you, but we still have the best fan base. Good night. Well, have a good night, Colton. I'm glad you were able to stop by with us, buddy. And hey, I'm disappointed in us every single time I check in Jets Twitter. I got into something today with Jets fans are like on Mekhi Becton's Twitter ripping him apart about he's fat and everything. Can you believe that people do that? Are you doing that, Luke?
Mekhi Becton is an awesome dude. Look, the only reason they do it is because they want attention. Not the only reason, but he tends to publicize some of the negative comments, and people love having their face next to that. Mekhi went on the Play Like a Jet podcast his rookie year with Scott, who I work pretty closely with, and he couldn't have been nicer. An awesome dude, has a really good family. He was outstanding in 2020. He was legitimately a top 10, top 12 left tackle in the NFL at a position that takes 3 or 4 years to hit your straps at. And now Jets fans don't like him because Greg Van Roten got chucked on his ankle. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's really a funny thing, man. We can't forget, like, he went head to head with one of the premier edge rushers in this game of football, Nick Bosa, and completely neutralized him. What are we worried about? He got rolled on. He took a long time to come back. I mean, it's just a crazy thing. I think we should definitely leave him alone, though. Reaching out to him and calling him fat. I don't get it. Three Amigos, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, where does Pickens go in your mind? What about you, Luke? Where do you see George Pickens out of Georgia going in this draft?
I'm going to say between 50 and 70, especially if the board plays out like this. You've got Burks, who's going to be an option at the turn. I don't think Christian Watson's come off yet. I think both of them go before him because of the positional depth and some of the, injury risks with Pickens. I think he slides between the back half of the second round, a team like Green Bay, Kansas City, someone like that wanting a wide receiver 2 or 3, and then early in the third round. I think that's his window for Pickens.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but I gotta tell you, he's one of my faves. Like, he really is. And I like that it's nice and quiet. I want to believe that we can still get him in the third round. It's pretty, I don't know, but I want to believe it. I'm choosing to believe it. And I think that if we did forego receiver in the second and we got George Pickens in the third, I'd be absolutely fine with it. I'd be ecstatic. And I'm a Denzel Mims supporter, too. I think we'd be stout, especially because we're going to run 14 personnel, Luke. So we don't even need receivers anymore. It's going to be fun. Chris Bradigan checks in. What's up, Chris? He says, and don't forget, Becton put Bosa out for the year. I actually think Bosa was switched to the right side when he went out. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's the way I remember it. Because Saleh moved Bosa to the other side because Becton was just not letting him have any fun. So they started moving Bosa around a little bit more than they usually do. But either way, that is the game. Bosa went out for the season, man. So Mekhi Becton put him in his place. Make no mistake, Becton has all-pro potential. What's that, Luke?
Don't forget, he took his brother out of the game too. That year, Joey Bosa was one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. The only tackle in 2020 to not allow a pressure to Melvin Ingram or Joey Bosa, Mekhi Becton.
Dude, and he was a rookie. Like we can't forget, like, a lot of people talk about, they use the fact that Carl Lawson was doing well against him in training camp as a reason that Becton sucks or he's fat or he's lazy. Don't forget, guys, this offensive line scheme is known to be very complex and difficult to digest. If you want any evidence, just look at our offensive line for the first 6 games of the season. They looked completely lost. Not one player, the entire offensive line looked lost. Mekhi Becton was in that position going against a guy. We also know that our edge rushers are asked to do one thing: pin your ears back and get to the quarterback. That's it. Yep. He had one job to do, and Becton's learning a whole new thing. That's what training camp is for. It's to learn and grow and make your mistakes. People are nuts, Luke. Mekhi Becton's a stud muffin. That's what I say. So, all right, I ended the poll, and it is a landslide, Luke. You're going to get your dreams come true. Treylon Burks, the wide receiver out of Arkansas, is pick 35 for the New York Jets. Here he comes. Come on, I picked him. Something's wrong. What's going on? There he goes. Oof. I got nervous, Luke. I got to be real honest. All right, guys. So we are at pick 38. Look how quickly it came, Luke. People don't appreciate how this 35 and 38 thing is so incredibly beneficial to us. It's like the first round ends, the second round starts, and we have 2 picks right out of the gate. And I think we're going to be in a very, very good position, both for trades or to get those gems that slip through the first round. It's amazing. So pick 38, we have some trade offers, Luke. We got the Los Angeles Rams want us to go down to what seems like the following year's draft, pick 104, but they'll give us a second and a third next year. That's pretty good value there. The Buffalo Bills want us to go back to 57. They'll give us a second and a third for 38 and 111. I don't think either one of these are going to be taken by the chat, but I'll put it up there nonetheless. Any interest from you, Luke? Are you taking any of these trades?
Not really. As I mentioned off the top, I think you want players that can impact this roster now. I think Joe Douglas is going to want that because remember, it's not his fault, but if the Jets go 6-11 this year. He's 12-38 as a general manager. He needs to make sure they start to turn this thing around this year. So he's going to feel some pressure to get instant results. And I think he wants that effectively a first round player. But one thing I'll say, this is why you could have taken Hamilton at number 10. You've still got David Ajabo on the board and also Boye Mafe's there. I know, obviously, Ajabo's going to have a red shirt year, but something to factor when you're doing your own mocks, things like that. There's going to be edges that fall. So don't be too locked into, we have to take player or position A at number 10 or number 4. So be willing to be a bit flexible.
Right. Flexibility is something Jets fans have a lot of trouble with, Luke. I'm going to be real honest with you. We are, if there's a fan base that is rigid, it's us. And you have to remember something, Jets fans. Whatever doesn't bend breaks in this world. Whatever doesn't bend breaks. That's why skyscrapers have rebar in them, the whole thing. Everything has to flex, including Jets fans. We got to get closer. Just getting to a couple comments. Cornell says D. Wyatt should have been the pick. 12 personnel. D. Wyatt. Any interest in D? I don't know who that is. Why is that not ringing a bell for me? Who is it, Luke?
Another interior defensive lineman. Devontae, I believe his first name is. Really good player. I think they're two separate comments in one. I think he's saying he likes 12 personnel and he also likes Wyatt as well. But look, I think Wyatt's a really good player. He's had a really good off season, I guess. His stock's definitely risen. The Jets need interior defensive line help for sure. I get it. But at the same time, you could cut Sheldon Rankins and you could get the kid out of Cincinnati. I can't think of his name, but the kid out of Cincinnati that signed with the Bears and then failed his physical. There's a huge upgrade and you don't have to spend any draft capital. So I'm not super thrilled with taking one in the top 40.
I thank you. And I'm happy that you said that. But look at this. Scarcity says grab Wyatt at 35. So, or now he would say 38. Is he still there? So look at this. He has a little bit of a fan club. Scarcities and Jose Cornell, they all want it. Interesting. This defensive tackle thing is starting to gain some traction. Jets fans, we just haven't had enough over all the years with Rex and McCagnon and defensive tackles. We still want some more. I think we're good with defensive tackle in the front end of the draft too, though, Luke. I have to be real honest. Okay, where are we? I'm going to end this one with the trade. 92% says no trade, so we can move on. Now we're going to get into the players. Let's take a look at the big board. Kenyon Green is still there. I'm blown away. Here he is. Devontae Wyatt, you're correct, from Georgia. We also have Ojabo, Boye Mafe. So we could double dip at edge. We could. There's still some real good talent up here. And then we have tight ends like Isaiah Likely. Are still there. And we have linebackers, Chad Muma and Christian Harris. And so what did we just do? Let's take a real quick. We got a cornerback, an edge rusher, and a wide receiver. There's a lot of people wanting to double dip at wide receiver, I imagine. So what say you, Luke? Which position? Are you turned on to linebacker a little bit now? Are you thinking Wyatt at defensive tackle, even though you just said you weren't? What are you thinking?
I think I'm still looking at players more than positions because you're still so high in the draft. And I understand people are going to say, you can't take an edge. You've got Shaq Lawson. You've got Carl Lawson. You've just taken Johnson. Well, at the same time, Carl Lawson, for goodness sake, is coming off an Achilles. You had Bryce Huff miss time last year. Robert Saleh loves a deep rotation on the edge. So I think an edge is in play here because of the talent. If you want a wide receiver, you can probably look at Dotson. He has a different skill set to Treylon Burks. At the same time, I don't really want to double dip there. With linebacker, some things you've been hearing, and I think there's some truth in it. I don't think they believe that linebacker is that big of a need. There's only going to be 2 linebackers on the field for 65% of the snaps for the Jets. They're going to be a nickel with Michael Carter. I think they've got a little bit more faith in Quincy, in Mosley, and then in the 2 rookies who are coming second-year players. So I don't think they're going to look at a linebacker, but I'm pretty sure Jets Twitter is going to want one. And I think the poll would be interested in one as well, especially Chad Muma, who's kind of been a fan favorite.
Yeah, well, he's been a fan favorite for good reason, in my opinion. Not only is he a good player, but the opportunity that we had to watch the Jets staff with him down at the Senior Bowl, Chad Muma was on the field more than every other player on the defense. And that includes Perion Winfrey and Boye Mafe. They kept him on the field almost the entire game. So that would tell you they wanted to get a serious look at him. So that's definitely good reason. I like what Luke just said, though. Looking at the players over the position right now, probably could lead to maybe a better end. If you see guys slipping that should not be there, you might want to at least consider them. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to make this poll, and we're going to put D. Wyatt in there because how could I not after all this love? So we'll put him in there. We'll put Wyatt in there.
Man,
we're
I
gonna
want Christian Watson.
You want?
I've got to say, GreenBean. I know people like Dotson, but Christian Watson, I have a video up on him. I'm telling you, this guy moved Division 1A or whatever they call it at NDSU. But man, Christian Watson, oh man, he's a good player too.
You like him, huh? Are you hearing me?
I just think.
Are you hearing me? Am I okay? All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you skitsed out a little bit there. I didn't know if it was on my end or your end. I think I got everything you said. You said, I know people like Jahan Dotson, but I really can't help loving who I love, and that's Christian Watson. Yeah. So, yeah, you're not alone with that either. So here's what I'll do. You tell me what you think. I'm going to go ahead and put Wyatt, Dotson, Watson, and I'm going to put Muma in there. Right now, I only have 4 options, so I'm going to go ahead and do. You think that's a sound group, Luke? What do you think?
I guess the only one I would consider changing is: do you go 2 wide receivers, or do you chuck an edge in there and either a Ajabo or with the kid out of Minnesota whose name's escaping me right now?
Mafe,
thank you. That might be the only change, but realistically, I think they're the best 4 or 5 names. I think they're pretty clear cut at this point.
I like what Luke just said. And what kind of host would I be if I didn't extend some courtesy to my guests? So the choice is going to be Wyatt, Mafe, Watson, and Muma. We're going to have some fun with it. Go ahead, Jet Nation. Go ahead and vote. It is now in the poll. I'll leave this up for a second and let you guys really think about it and get in there and vote. I'll remind you, don't forget to like the stream. One of the easiest things that you can do. And don't forget to support Luke Grant at Play Like a Jet. Again, I mean this sincerely. He's one of my favorite people to watch when it comes to breaking down players, breaking down games. I just love his content. If you guys are not familiar with him, you can find him at Play Like a Jet's YouTube page. And I love him to death, man. He's one of my faves out there. And if you guys could go and support his channel as well, all of his information, his Twitter, his YouTube page, it's all in the description of this video. So go ahead and click on it and give him some loving. And that would be fantastic. And you will be the beneficiary. Trust me when I tell you. So we're going to I see a super chat in here. There it is. Jake. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate the super chat. He says, I got you to start your first poll ever. Let's get it going again. I want a linebacker. That's it. Jake, it was funny. Thankfully, I had Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 on, and I had already given up on the poll, like managing StreamYard and YouTube together. I'm just, dude, I'm old. You know what I mean? I can't. But Ryan literally took the time in the middle of the stream because of Jake and walked me through the whole process. Now click this. Now click that. And now I'm Mr. Poll. See that? So look, I appreciate it, Jake. And there's a linebacker in there for you. So you can vote for him. So get your feelings known. Rob, what's your deal, dude? Rob V, why are you yelling and screaming all night? Take a fucking breath, buddy. You know what I mean? You don't need to yell and scream. The reasoning behind what Luke was talking about with the linebacker, he didn't say they don't need a linebacker. He said, I think the Jets might not prioritize or might not feel like they need a linebacker. It's about as benign as a comment as anybody's ever made. No reason to get screamy and yelly, Rob. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm going to get some regular comments. Gitmo Bob says, don't forget all the new quarterbacks in the AFC that the Jets need to pressure if they want to be successful. Hey, what do you think of the Matt Ryan trade, man, over to the Indianapolis Colts? So we're taking one of the best quarterbacks over the last 14, 15 years and bringing him into the AFC. What do you think of that trade and the value that they got for him?
I think Carolina's sitting at home going, I cannot believe that we traded a second and a fourth for Sam Darnold, and you're getting, NFC championship winning quarterbacks for a third. Obviously, he's not being traded in division, but they must be hating that. Matt Ryan isn't who he used to be, but Matt Ryan's still better than Carson Wentz in 2022. They've got a win now roster. They're picking late in the draft. There's no one that's going to fall to them that's going to, project to be an influence and someone that can push them over the edge in 2022. It made perfect sense. You've got Quentin Nelson. You've got Pittman on the outside. You've got a really good defensive core led by Darius Leonard. I think it was the best thing they could have done. I think it makes more sense than Baker. They're a buttoned-up organization. They don't want that mess and all the ads and everything else. I like Baker, but it's not the Indianapolis Chris Ballard way of doing it. I think it made sense, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, what a great point that, dude, Joe Douglas, not only did he get a second and a fourth, he got a sixth. Yeah. So we got 3 picks for Sam Darnold and a legitimate great like Matt Ryan for a third, straight up. So I'm telling you guys, if you're not on the Joe Douglas train yet, at least acknowledging that he knows what he's doing. You might not like everything. That's fine. That's fine. But if you can't acknowledge that he's got some skills, just look at that trade. And then, dude, Robert Woods for a sixth, Blake Cashman for a sixth. There's something going on with this guy, Joe Douglas. Rob, this is the comment I'm talking about, buddy. This is the one. If you weren't directing that at Luke, then my apologies, my friend. You're still yelling, though. No reason to all caps. You know I love you, Rob. But at the same time, this was the comment I'm talking about. I see you saying, what are you talking about? This is the one. So no sweat. No sweat.
Again, like I said, I think that's what the Jets believe. Do I think we need a linebacker? I don't think. Look, Quincy Williams makes an unreal highlight tape, and he hits so hard, but he takes bad angles. He's pretty poor in coverage. The Jets could do with a linebacker. I just don't. I'm not convinced from what I've heard and what I've seen that that's what they'll do.
Yeah. And that's a good point, man. You're not the first person to say that. See, I'm the type of guy, I love linebackers, man. Like I played defensive end and linebacker for many years, and I just think like that. Like when I watch defense, I tend to focus on the linebackers. And obviously we all look at ball and stuff, but when I'm not watching the ball, I'm watching my linebackers. I love to see what they're doing. I love how they respond to the plays, if they bite on fakes and all that kind of stuff. And the linebackers that we have, as much as we like Quincy Williams, like we all like him. He's had some really great plays. Overall, he's not an every down linebacker, man. He gets fooled a lot. He takes poor angles. He misses tackles. He gets burnt, flat out juked by tight ends. They can get away from him rather easily. So I think he's more of like maybe a third down linebacker. You send him with his, like a missile. There's ways to use Quincy Williams, and I think he's good. He's an asset to the team, but I wouldn't want him to be next to Mosley as our starting guy. That's just my take. But I do think that they still like Sherwood and Nasruldeen. So the argument could be made that they feel good about their linebackers. That argument, I don't know if that's accurate, but it could be made. I mean, they just used 2 draft picks on him last year and have Quincy Williams. So who knows? Who knows? All right, so I think I put a poll out, didn't I? Let's see how the poll's going. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Did everybody get their votes in? Let's see. I have no idea who won. I'm just as excited as everybody else. Let's see. Oh, my God, what's it going to be? Watson with 33%. We are going to double dip at wide receiver. Luke, you did it. This is definitely the way Jets Twitter is acting right now. This is an appropriate pick. This speaks volumes towards what I've been reading for the past 3 days on Jets Twitter. So you happy? This is your guy.
I mean, look, I know I said a little earlier that double dipping at wide receiver wasn't my ideal situation. I just think sometimes the talent on the board is too much. And people are going to say, well, now suddenly you've got 2 guys fighting to be wide receiver 3. Think longer picture. Corey Davis isn't going to be here next year. Unless he has 1,100 yards, he's not going to be here. He's no guaranteed money. He's had the drops. He and Elijah Moore missed a combined 14 games last season. Watson's big. Burks is big. That's going to be the criticism maybe of some people that think they have similar skill sets. Watson ran a 4.35. Like, he is a burner. He can do things after the catch. You can never have too many good receivers, and I don't hate this at all. I love the player. Do I love double dipping? Maybe not so much, but I'd be more than satisfied if this was the case.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, look, we all have our preferred ways to go in the draft. Like, we talked about earlier. I'm really hoping that the Jets go, edge Hamilton, edge linebacker, something defense up front, because that's what I view as the strength. But if they decided to go edge Burks or edge Garrett? Am I going to be upset if they double dip that wide receiver? I like it, even though it's not my preferred way. There's a lot to like about double dipping at wide receiver, and you make some really good points. Let's go ahead and pick them so we can move on. So Jahan Dotson, no, just kidding. Is Christian Watson is now a New York Jet with our 38th pick. Steve Love checks back in. Thanks for the super chat. He says, Ryan needs to teach me about the chicken. My kid loves it. Yeah, dude, I love the chicken. How great. I don't know if you've seen it, Luke. Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. He has a call-in show right before this show. And when he has a timer for the call at 3 minutes, they get booted no matter if they could be in mid-sentence or what. And the chicken flies across the screen. It's brilliant. I love it. I love that. So Scarcities checks in. He says, sounded like Saleh was high on Sherwood pre-injury. Right, Luke? I mean, he said, in Saleh's word, he belongs. So that's a pretty straightforward comment. He's saying this guy can hang. This is the guy. Yeah, please.
The thing is, GreenBean, that, look, I know that PFF, this is my stance on PFF. I think I said it last time I was on the show. If they support my argument, I'm all for them. If they don't, it's absolute rubbish. I think that's what everyone thinks about PFF, right? That's the company line for me when you're talking about PFF. They agree with Saleh. He took some big strides forward before the injury that ended his season. He was starting to really get rolling. He looked better in coverage. His read and diagnose was so much better. You talked about Quincy being in the wrong spot or losing a step in man coverage. He looked better than that. They drafted this kid in the 4th round because they think he can play and because he was a team captain.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like when it comes down to it, we have to remember, man, that not everybody comes out of the gate and is a dynamic stud in the NFL. Guys need time too. Especially coming from, like when you look at a guy like Sherwood, I'll bring it back to Sherwood here. Like number one, he's changing positions. He's going from safety to linebacker. Number 2, he's learning a brand new defense. Number 3, he had that injury earlier in the season, came back and then had the Achilles injury. So we're watching this guy and it's like, number one, it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see him the rest of the year, but even the small sample size that we did get, he looked confused. But Saleh knows that it takes a little bit longer, like very similar to what he said about Denzel Mims. He said he's not the first guy to have a tough second year, and he's not going to be the last. I mean, this happens, guys. We have to stop jumping off the cliff. And we got to remember that they used capital on some of these guys. And even though Jets fans have given up on Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, Jabari Zuniga, and some of the guys like a Sherwood or a Nasruddin, like, look, Nasruddin sucks. He couldn't get onto the lineup. Dude, Troy Polamalu was a special teamer his whole rookie year. Couldn't break the starting lineup. We know how that ended up. So sometimes guys just take a minute, and I think it's going to be fine. If they don't draft a linebacker, I'm going to be surprised, though. I think we need to bring one in. Bring in a snarler. Bring in somebody that snarls and spits. That's what I want. Linebackers are supposed to foam at the mouth, in my opinion. Okay. So where are we? We are at pick. Let's see here. 69, right? The 3rd round pick. Before we do that, let's just touch up and see what we've done real quick. So we started with Sauce Gardner at pick 4. At pick 10, we got edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. Then at 35 and 38, we double dipped at the wide receiver position, grabbed Treylon Burks and Christian Watson. Zach Williams is home, laughing, loving life. We brought in 2 tight ends that can block and catch. We got him a right guard. We got 2 receivers. Like, I love my life. That's how Zach Wilson's doing right now. But we have a job to do. And first up is this trade offer from the 49ers, Luke. They want us to go back to pick 93 and give them next year's 6th for next year's 3rd. I'm going to let you make the decision on this one. What do you think?
It's tricky. I'm not sure exactly who's on the board still. We're not drafting another wide receiver. I can tell you that much for sure. But again, I think it's one of those situations where if you love someone, I mean, how is Kenyon Green still on the board right now? I mean, I know the Jets are deep there. I'm almost in the position where I take that guy because I look at him and go, he's a 1st round pick and I'm getting him in the 3rd round. What happens
Absolutely.
if he gets an injury? What happens if next year Elijah Vera Tucker gets hurt or you want to, move on from Laken Tomlinson after year 2? Whatever it is, sometimes it's almost worth the risk. I know it's not a great fit. Personally, I don't think I'm trading down again. I know that's kind of been the theme of the show, but I still think there's enough talent on the board here. There's still good edge rushers I like. A guy like Sanders out of Cincinnati. There's still, as I said, Green's a great player. There's just a lot of talent left in this place. If you were trading back 10 spots, maybe. I don't want to move back. I think it was about 20, 25 spots. It's a little too far for me.
Yeah, I think it's far too. And, hey, man, trading back, it can be fun and everything, but what we're doing right now is trying to really look at this as logically as we can. And you make a great point about Kenyon Green, and Kenyon Green is also incredibly versatile as well. He played 4 offensive line positions and played them well. So this is a guy, if you're contemplating keeping Van Roten around just as depth, if you're contemplating re-signing LDT, this is an opportunity where you can let both of them go, and you have Kenyon Green back there working the guard spots. He can even play center and tackle. So, this is a guy that you definitely want to consider here. I love him. I mean, I think he's probably my favorite interior offensive lineman in the whole draft. I do love Linderbaum, but I don't like Linderbaum's size. It just makes me nervous. But that is what it is. So Drew Pacabra says, I loathe this draft. We missed top tier. Drew Pacabra, you can't give us a letter grade yet. We're 4 picks in, dude. This is not allowed. I refuse to allow this super chat comment, Drew Pacabra 7. No, Drew Pacabra. No letter grades yet. Okay, so let's talk about some players. Well, let me get to the super chat too. I don't want to fall too far behind. Mr. Terrible says, Cade York time. Make a statement. Solid kicker, perhaps Hall of Fame for 10 to 15 years. Luke, first of all, Mr. Terrible Takes has some really terrible things to say a lot of the time. But I happen to like Cade York a whole bunch. And even though I like how we ended the year with our kicker, I would be all about drafting Cade York and just calling it a day. You think 69 is just a little bit too high here for maybe making a statement, as Mr. Terrible says, and grabbing Cade York?
Yeah, I think so. If you absolutely love him, you can take him with one of your 4ths. If you're that confident that he's going to transform the position for the next 10 years, we haven't had a good kicker since Nick Folk. Well, I lie, we had Myers in there as well, but realistically, we haven't had stability at the position. Use it then. Don't take a kicker in the 3rd. We saw Tampa Bay do that a couple of years ago. Look how it worked out. It's just a low value position realistically for what you can get on the board. Guys like Green, Likely, Smith, and Sanders, there's too much talent here to take a kicker.
Yeah, I agree. Mr. Terrible, look, buddy, we're friends. I've known you a long time. I think you're out of your mind, buddy. I think you're losing your marbles. We'll talk about Cade York, though. There'll be time for this. So let's talk about the actual players. So we decided not to make that trade. No problem. So, guys, we have Kenyon Green. We're going to leave him in the mix just because he literally should not be there. This is The Sims trying to see if we know how to capitalize on grabbing the best available player on the board. But we do have some linebackers. Let's take a linebacker look. We have Brandon Smith. Asamoah is there. Quay Walker is there. We have Damon Clark and Darian Beavers, Troy Anderson. So there's a lot of guys still there. We might not want to take. I mean, if you want Brandon Smith right now, you're probably going to have to take him. But other than that, there's kind of a similar batch right here. They're all kind of lumped up together, similar talent level, and you probably could get away with waiting. That's that. We haven't gotten a wide receiver yet. So let's look at wide receiver. Let's take a look at, right? The tight ends, we are now in the 3rd round. We've foregone tight end in the 2nd for the wide receivers, but Isaiah Likely, Jeremy Ruckert, Ferguson, Cade Otton, Jelani Woods, they're all still there for us, guys, if we want to start considering tight end. Now, here's another interesting position, running back. Now, with the idea that we want to do more, maybe 12 personnel, maybe even some 21 personnel, we know that we re-signed Nick Bawden, we have Michael Carter, and we re-signed Tevin Coleman. But the idea that we might want to go a little bit early and grab running back is becoming a little bit more real to a lot of Jets fans because we signed 2 tight ends. Isaiah Spiller is in many people's mind the best running back in the draft. Now, a lot of people don't feel that way, but a lot of people do. He's sitting here at 69. And another one of our favorites, Rashad White, who the Jets gave the most carries in the Senior Bowl. He had the most carries, the most yards, the most, the highest average. And he did have a touchdown that was called back. But they seemingly wanted to take a good look at him too. So we know that the Jets probably like him. Any thoughts on running back from your perspective, Luke?
For CJ Spiller, yes. Because I said CJ Spiller, didn't I?
Yeah, everybody does, at least once.
I always
we all
do it. For Spiller, I would. Because number one, he's a power back, but he's still got explosion. Perfect complement to Michael Carter because he's a great player. Was fantastic as a rookie. You don't want him having 400 touches this year.
Right.
But he's a scheme fit.
Yeah, man. And look, dude, Michael Carter was a tag teamer in college. Maybe they knew a little something. He can't, maybe his body just can't hold up to being a bell cow. He was injured 3 times last year. I don't think there's a Jets fan that doesn't like Michael Carter, both his talent and his personality. We think he's a great team guy. He's funny. Everything you want in a man for your team, Michael Carter is that. But he was injured 3 times, so we got to be careful. So maybe running back's a consideration, and there Isaiah Spiller being there is a pretty interesting turn of events. Now, safety is a need for us, even though we brought in Jordan Whitehead and signed LaMarcus Joyner, and we still have Ashton Davis on the squad. Safety is still probably considered a need, and we're going to do lots of big nickel. We're going to do lots of 3 safety sets, all that stuff. This happens to be a very deep safety class. Grabbing one would be smart, in my opinion. Leon O'Neal, by many people's accounts, the hardest hitter in the entire draft. Maybe he's a little redundant with Whitehead. I don't know. But we have Kirby Joseph and Verone McKinley there as well. And we can look at the defensive tackles. Logan Hall, Chris Hinton, they're both still there. So let's make a poll, Luke. Here's what I'm thinking. Let me look at the chat real quick, see what they're thinking. Hold on. Let me see what they're talking about over here. Wait, real quick. Jake says, yeah, Nugent worked out real well in the second round. That's a good pull, Jake. That's a good one. I still can't believe that. That was the same year that we traded a first-round pick for Doug Jolly from the Raiders, a tight end who is mediocre at best. And then we don't have a first-round pick, and we use our second on a kicker. I'll tell you, Terry Bradway, another fantastic GM for the Jets. We've had a bad run, everybody. Bad run. Let me see what they're talking. So I see some Isaiah Spiller. I see some Kirby. Let's see what else we got here. No running back, Kenyon Green. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and make a poll. We're going to put, let me see, pick 69. We're going to put Kenyon Green up there because we have to. It's just stupid not to. We're also going to put Kirby Joseph up there, the safety. Okay, now we're going to add Isaiah Spiller. He's a running back, everybody. I want to add another position. Linebacker? Yeah, let's stick linebacker in there. And we'll do, who do you think? Let me put the linebackers up there real fast for you, Luke. Let's see here. We got Brandon Smith, Asamoah, Quay Walker, Damon Clark. Who do you think I should put up there?
I like Smith the best. I know it's probably a boring answer. I think here he makes the most sense for the Jets. He's the most talented player on the board. Do you pick him? As you mentioned, there's a nice little grouping below him, so I guess that's the negative. But I think he's a heck of a player. We all know that the Jets do need improvements at linebacker, so I think Smith's probably the one to chuck in there. But in saying that, you could literally make a poll here out of 4 Texas A&M players. There's just Texas players everywhere in the conversation now. You've got Green, you've got the safety O'Neal, you've got the running back Spiller. It's pretty incredible that in this stage of the draft, you're going to see some Texas A&M go off the board.
Interesting. What an interesting thing to identify there. It's the time of the draft where Texas A&M is going to rule the day, it looks like. So, yeah, I think that's a good argument. I mean, Brandon Smith was in the conversation for a second-round pick for really much of the offseason. I still happen to like him a whole bunch. I did some work on him earlier in the offseason. Penn State linebacker, I happen to like him. I still think he's a good player. Maybe not as exciting as the Devin Lloyds and even Christian Harris, who a lot of people like, but I still think getting Brandon Smith would be a fantastic get for the Jets. So the poll is up, everybody. Make sure you get your votes in. You want to have a voice here. You don't want to just be a grumpkin complaining all night. You want to make your voice heard. Like, who was it? Drew Pacabra said he loathes this draft. Well, if you loathe it, let's try to get your votes in and make some changes as best you can. Jeremy said, I'm all caught up with the super chats. That's amazing. I don't think that's ever happened before. Usually behind. Thank you, Jeremy. You're a good man, my friend. I almost put you on a few minutes ago because I saw you eating. I was just going to throw you on, but then I said, why be like that to your friend? Why do that? What are you having, Jeremy? Put it in the chat for you. I'll bring you on at the end though, Jeremy. But what are you having today? Some sort of tikka masala or some shit? What do you got? T.A. Rugg, Luke says, yeah, but complaining's more fun. Yeah, he's got a point, doesn't he?
We're more accustomed to it as well, right? We haven't had good things happen to us for a decade. It's easy to fall into routines. So, look, I just want to be optimistic all the time. Hopefully, we can do it after this year. But, hey, it's always nice to complain. Or what do you say? You got to gripe intelligently, right?
That's it. And, like, my only request is if you're going to bitch and moan, just do it intelligently. That's all I want. I don't want to hear Joe Douglas sucks because of Ryan Khalil. Like, there was nothing he could do. He was brought in after free agency, after the draft, and we still didn't have any offensive linemen. He went and talked somebody off the couch who was a Pro Bowler. Like, it was a great swing. It didn't work. I'm tired of it. That's not an intelligent gripe, Luke. That's not intelligent. I like intelligent. I'll listen to people complain all day if it has a little logic to it. You know what I mean?
I'll take a break to eat what Jeremy's eating, though. I think I'm in. I need some of that over here. It's lunchtime here.
Oh, it is. Where are you? So you're in the UK. Where are you exactly?
So I'm in Australia.
Australia. Okay.
It's just gone 2:30 here. So it's, you know what? I'm a little late for lunch. So I'm getting a bit peckish.
Now, are you in Tuesday?
We are in Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday afternoon we are now. So
2:30 Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, what a wonderful thing. We get quite a few from New Zealand and from Australia, and I can't get over it. It still tickles me the fact that you guys are in a different day. You know, Braden Bethwaite, he's a member of the Beanbaggers, and I make the joke far too often about it's tomorrow and all that shit. He's got to be getting tired of me by now, but I can't help it, Luke. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's like No, go on, please.
I get the Wordle results before everyone else. So if anyone wants any tips and you play Wordle, just shoot me a DM. I'll help you out.
I know. I actually contemplated getting into that. I had a few people bend in my ear about it. I almost did it. Once I get into a game, though, I'm very obsessive, Luke. I got to be careful. I'm very addictive, my personality. But it was interesting. Yeah. We just drove across the United States. We were in Arizona just a few days ago, and we were driving east. So I was like making up time. So it was 3 hours behind because Arizona doesn't change their clocks. I was 3 hours behind and driving across, trying to time my live streams and everything. It was exhausting, man. Just the time difference. I'm finally on the East Coast, and I'm in the same time zone as when my core my core supporters are. So I can actually feel a little bit less stressed about getting the times right. It can be difficult, man. It really can.
It's stressful. I was doing some podcasts with Scott the other night. It's tough, man.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so we are going to end this poll. I think we're going to be surprised. This is really an interesting result. I am surprised, and I'm proud of you. I want you to know that, chat. I'm proud of you. Kenyon Green gets 39% of the votes. Isaiah Spiller with 32, Brandon Smith with 22, and Kirby Joseph with 6%. I am surprised and delighted. This is this is a smart pick, Luke. Do you agree?
It does. This sounds like the most basic logic of all time. Draft good football players, guys. When you have an opportunity in the third round, which is an absolute throw at a dartboard, and you have a guy who's an expected first pick, even though it's not a need, take him. There's always value in good football players.
Absolutely. And look, not for nothing, as confident as I am and how much I liked the Laken Tomlinson signing, he's 30 years old. Just like you said, maybe in 2 years he's gone. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe anything happens. We have a versatile stud offensive lineman waiting in the wings. We don't have to worry about this for quite some time. Kenyon Green will be with us for a minimum of 4 years, and we don't have to worry about in 2 years if Laken Tomlinson's ready to retire or he's just not holding up his weight. We smooth transition. By that time, Kenyon Green will know the offense inside and out, and that's what you want. That's optimal. That's the whole purpose of pipeline developmental guys is when it's time for them to come in, they already know your system inside and out. They come in without missing a beat. And I think what we did there is very strong, maybe not as sexy as some of the other options that were available, but I'm proud of our chat. I truly am. So let's see here. I saw a super chat I don't want to pass. Where the hell did it go? Where'd it go, Luke? I lost it. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Is this it? All right. I'm all over the place. Okay. Steve Love checks in. He says, since we are still rebuilding, take best player available. Mims will be wide receiver 1. Let me tell you guys something. Everybody's got their eyes closed, in my opinion. I think Mims does have wide receiver 1 potential. He had a rough year. I'm not taking that away. But I think Mims is going to be a hard reset this year. He's already working with Zach Wilson. They're going to get it together. Mims knows what the expectations are, and damn, if that guy can come back and just be the guy we thought we were getting, we are in a fantastic situation if Denzel Mims comes around the corner, man. All right, absolutely. Jake. Yeah, right? Jake checks in. He says, true, I enjoy the offseason stuff. I hate the team by week 4 and won't talk about them. This must be the high time for YouTubers till we stop sucking. Dude, let me tell you something. And Luke, I don't know if you can relate. When the season ends, that's when I get in my best mood. I'm like, the offseason where we can hope and dream and talk about potential possibilities. The season sucks.
Let me tell you about how my week goes during the season. I wake up at the start of the season at 3 a.m. to watch Jets games on a Monday morning. So I'm on limited sleep. I'm tired. The Jets lose by 20 at home. I get grumpy. I go to work. My Monday's ruined. It's already Monday. The day's ruined already. My girlfriend hates me when I get home. My son doesn't want to see me. I'm miserable for 24 hours, and it's just a great way to start the week. So, hey, there's no chance of that in the offseason. It's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice, right, man? The damn Jets ruin our Mondays. They really do. And it's nice during the offseason. We can have so much hope. By the end of the offseason, I'm getting predictions of, 12 wins, 11 wins. And it's like, we're a fun fan base. I tell you, man. So let's see. We are at pick 111. We also have pick 117. So this is, we got to consider that. If there's 2 guys we like, we have to look at the guy that might not be there, that guy that's more likely not to be there. So let's take a look. We were just talking about running backs. Isaiah Spiller is no longer there. Excuse me. But Jerome Ford, Damian Pierce, Kyron Williams, even Brian Robinson and James Cook, they are still there. So we might want to consider that. We did not grab a tight end. Tight end has been decimated. We still have some good names up there. We have Jelani Woods. We got Krull, Kolar, and Turner. Those are the guys I like the best. Admittedly, I don't really know so much about Okonkwo. Do you know anything about him?
He absolutely flew at the combine. So the first thing I did, because I wanted to make some instant reaction videos, so I went and watched a few games. I only got through 2, and I just went, he's not an inline tight end. He's going to play a lot like Mike Gesicki. He's got a little case of the drops. He's a great athlete, but he's not a guy I consider. I think you're better off going with a Kohler or someone like that. Just makes more sense to me.
Right. Okay. Well said, man. And I think that the Jets, even though we brought in 2 guys that are kind of the all-around tight ends. They have the hands, they have the blocking. But I still, it would make sense that they want to maybe get more of a receiving tight end in the mix if they grab, but I don't think they will. I think they'll try to have the same skill set with, everybody in their tight end room. I think they're going to want, no matter who comes in, it can be replicated. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bypassed the guy that was more of a receiving tight end and went yet again with the all-around tight end that can block and catch. Let's see. All right, so we're going to talk about tight ends. I'm looking in the chat. I see running backs. I see tight ends. I see linebackers. We can address this. What do you feel about Jarvis Landry from In Mike We Trust? Any interest in Landry?
Good locker room guy. I like him from an off the field perspective, but in my opinion, look, he's an upgrade over Keelan Cole from last year, but I think you're getting effectively exactly what you would get out of Jamison Crowder. I think it's a bit of a lateral move. Look, Crowder's not on the roster right now. He's in Buffalo. I understand that. I don't think it's necessarily improvement to the roster. Landry's 30 now. I think he's averaging around 550 yards over the last 2 seasons. He's had a couple of injuries. I just don't think he really moves the needle for me. But hey, we need depth. Honestly, and this sounds insane, I'd probably rather swing at Odell Beckham right now. I know that sounds, I never thought I'd say that in my life, but I think I'd rather take an upside swing than just go, here's a possession receiver that can get you some first downs, but has a very limited ceiling. So I'm not super sold on it.
Very interesting. I don't think I like Jarvis Landry either for the Jets. I'm not so sure about Beckham either, but he does seem to be calming down as he ages here. And man, was he having a good Super Bowl before that injury, man. He was the whole offense. I mean, he was driven. That guy, that was a man on a mission. You know, as much as I haven't liked his antics over the years, I was bummed because he looked like he was going to take that game over. And it's really a shame to see him go down like that. All right, so we're going to take a look at a poll here. We're going to add a running back. I think I'm going to add Jerome Ford. What do you think as far as the running back? Okay.
Yeah, I think now that Spiller and Algier are gone, I think he makes the most sense to me.
Okay, we'll say Jerome Ford. Now we're going to look at tight end. I think, let me see who we have here at tight end. I was just looking at them. Tight ends. What do you think, Kolar or Jelani Woods? Which one? Cole Turner's another one, though. Which one, if you had to pick a tight end here, what would be the tight end that you chose out of this group?
That's tough. I mean, I do like Turner, as Jets Forever says, but I think the two I choose from are Woods and Kolar. I just think they're the most natural fits. They have some, especially Woods has some athletic upside. He's 6'6", and he absolutely motors as well, but you can see him block. They like Kolar. He was there in the Senior Bowl. Maybe that tilts them to it. Let's do that. Let's say, you know what? They take a guy they saw at the Senior Bowl. They were impressed by him, watching him in the practice between the two teams, the game. Maybe Charlie Kolar's the guy they pick.
Okay, so Charlie Kolar. Is Leo Chanel still there? Let me make sure he is, and we'll put him up there. He is. Leo Chanel, I know he's a big fan favorite for linebacker. We got to start considering linebackers a little bit, so we'll put Leo Chanel there, and we're going to put a safety up there.
Yeah.
We haven't grabbed a safety yet. Let me see who we have. Nick Cross, JT Woods, Sterling Weatherford, Yusef Corker. I'm going to go with JT Woods, who I happen to like. Any thoughts on the safety? Do you prefer a Nick Cross or a Corker or anything?
I think Woods and Smoke Monday are actually the two that I like the best there. I think Smoke, I know he has a pretty similar skill set to probably a Whitehead, and that may be semi-redundant, but he could only be here for a year. But I think the Woods was a really good player at Baylor. They have athletes all over the field there. I definitely think you can't go wrong with Woods.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. So, okay, guys, the poll is up. We have a running back, Jerome Ford. We have a tight end, Charlie Kolar. We have a linebacker, Leo Chanel, and a safety, JT Woods. So this is going to be good. This is going to be a good one. We're gonna learn a lot about each other here with this one. Let's see. Did I miss some super chats? Let's see. Let me see. Did I miss any, Jeremy, or am I caught up here? I literally can't tell. I forgot. Well, let's see. We need a free safety. Indeed. Jake says Chanel's a no-brainer. I actually really, really like Leo Chanel. In my opinion, he's not going to – I know the Sims are treating him this way, but I think he's going to go earlier than people think. He's an absolute he's just like one of those workhorse, blue collar, get his his hands dirty kind of guy. I think he's the epitome of a linebacker. He can be considered slow, but I don't think he's all that slow for what they want to do with him. Let's see who else we got here. Yeah, okay. So Kane's asking for a recap. I'll give you a recap, Kane, so you can see where we are. We're having an interesting draft. I got to tell you, if I Was asked beforehand. This wouldn't be what I thought we'd get, but very interesting. Started with Sauce Gardner, then got edge Jermaine Johnson, wide receiver Traylon Burks, and a double dip at wide receiver with Christian Watson. And then we got an absolute steal at 69. In my opinion, the best guard in the whole draft, Kenyon Green. We have 4 picks left, and we are working on the poll. Don't forget, guys, get your votes in. Last time we have like 350 people in here, and we only had 120 votes or whatever. So there's over 100 of you that didn't make your voice heard. So I'd like you to get your opportunity. Go ahead and vote in the poll so we can see what you're thinking and get the most accurate depiction of what the chat is wanting. So Kev Chada says his dream mock is Jermaine Johnson, Drake London, Brisker, Jones. What Jones is that? At 38. You know what Jones? T. Jones. I just can't think about it. A linebacker.
Tackle. My gut's saying defensive tackle, but
yeah, I'm just spacing out. Asamoah, then Cole Strange at 111. Then he wants Cole Bryant, then Cole Turner, or no, Kobe Bryant. I'm sorry, and then Cole Turner, and then Beef Jergens down there. That'd be a good draft. I'd be happy with that draft too, Kev. I would. So Jeremy was letting us know what he ate. He ate a double cheeseburger with smash sauce. So he got a smash burger. Jeremy knows how to eat. Nobody's going to take that from Jeremy. One thing you can't take from him, he knows what he's eating. He means business.
You know your chat pretty well, GreenBean. Where do you think they go here, and where would you go?
I think they're going to go Chanel. That's what I think they're going to do. But I could see Kolar. I think the safety gets the least votes. That's what I think.
Okay.
And I probably I would have a safety already. I know I would. But if it was just me, but I think that their safety is going to, I think they like to push safety aside a lot of the time. They don't feel like it's necessary. And look, the truth is we did re-sign LaMarcus Joyner and we did bring in Jordan Whitehead. So there is an argument to be made that maybe they feel we don't need a safety. I still think we do. But that's what I think. I think they're going to Travis Jones. That's who he said. Okay, we got it. Good. All right. So yeah, that's like you said. Oh, the webcams is back. Jeremy, if you ever see that, you can get rid of those for me. I'll take care of this one, but I gave you moderator powers. Mr. Downtown says, who is spamming the chat? Well, Super Sexy Webcams likes to spam the chat every time. It's funny. I've banned them. I have like 40 different versions. It looks the same that are banned forever from my channel. Every week they figure out a new channel and get in here with the same shit.
That's actually my second channel, GreenBean.
Is it? Oh, I didn't realize. I'll unban you. All right. So the chat is, I'm going to end the poll. I don't know how many of you got to vote, but I'm ending it. I think it is going to be Leo Chanel, and it's a good pick. Let's see what we got here. Where are you? There it is. Okay, Chanel 49 or 48%. Jerome Ford came in second with 30%, then Charlie Kolar, and then JT Woods. I think that the signing of two tight ends has taken their vigor to want to draft a tight end, Luke. That's what I think. So, okay, let's bring him on. Leo Chanel out of Wisconsin is coming aboard. And now we're going to go right to pick 117. So we might want to consider the guys that we just had up there, Jerome Ford, JT Woods, and who was the other guy? Charlie Kolar. So I'm going to do that. Let's just get this going. Why reinvent the wheel here? Which guy you think is going to, which guy would you take out of this group? We have Kolar, we have Jerome Ford, and we have, who was it? Who was the other guy? Jerome Ford.
The safety.
JT Woods, right. Thank you.
Look, as much as I like Woods, I just think there's too much value at running back still. I think Ford makes a lot of sense here. With the tight end position, I still think there's talent there. There's still probably 3 or 4 guys who I would draft. One of them might make it to the 5th round. So I think it's between Woods and Ford, and I think I'm just leading Ford because of value and talent. Yeah,
you know what? I wouldn't. I actually think I agree. I think for me, running back is the pick right here. We're in the 4th round. Joe Douglas, in his tenure as a Jets GM, has taken a running back in every 4th round he's ever held a draft. So why not, right? And we've gotten some pretty good value. I happen to like LaMichael Pirine more than a lot of people do as well, but I think he's probably not long for the team. It just looks like they have very little interest in him. Not sure exactly why, but it is what it is, and we'll need to replace him. And why not use the running back 4th round as we've done? So, okay, so the poll is up, guys. Try to get your votes in. Let's go. I'm going to give you 1 minute. 1 minute. Brandon McNeely says, we want Cook. That's the guy you wanted? Yeah, I don't think he's in that. Let me see. Who's left here? Yeah, he wanted James Cook out of Georgia. Interesting. Different strokes. Different strokes. What do you think? Ford versus Cook. Do you feel Ford is the guy that you'd take out of those two?
You're splitting hairs for me. I think they're both pretty good talents. I think people have just been so amazed by what the Georgia players have done in the draft, at the combine, sorry. I mean, so many times I've seen chats in the comments and out of people saying, you got to draft Davis, you got to draft Cook, you got to draft Walker. How many good athletes seen? How many, they just had incredible athletes all over the field. So you can't go wrong. I think I lean Forward, but realistically, I don't mind either way.
Yeah. I'm similar. Like, everybody's going to have the guy that they prefer one way or the other. But I think that if you were to take either one of those guys, you're getting a good one. And again, it's a 4th round pick. We're looking for somebody to double team with Michael Carter. I think either one of those would be a good option. So, okay, guys, the poll is about to end. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully you got your votes in. Rob V agrees. There he is. All right, Rob, I knew we'd get there, buddy. I knew it. All right. So we have Ford with 75%, Kolar with 10%. How interesting. All right. So here he comes. We got our running back to pair with Michael Carter at pick 117. One of the things we like to do here, Luke, is before the draft ends, when we're done with our picks, we like to compare the division rivals. So we like to look at the draft of the Buffalo Bills, of the New England Patriots, and obviously the Miami Dolphins. We like to see how they did, and if it was the real world, how we would have fared against those teams. And so far, I think we've done pretty well. The sim has not done great things for them, but it's interesting to see because, look, Jamison Crowder just went to the Buffalo Bills. I'm brokenhearted. So it's really important that we're able to kind of make up some ground on teams like the Bills. But what do you think of that, man? Jamison Crowder is now a Buffalo Bill.
Just a great value signing from Brandon Bean, another one. He replaces Cole Beasley for $6 million cheaper at least. The most he can get is $4 million with incentives. A natural fit in the slot. He's going to have an upgrade at quarterback from what he had with Sam Darnold and whoever else he's had during the tenure. So I think, look, I'm happy for him that he got some money. I'm happy that he ended up on a contender. I just wish it wasn't that contender up in upstate New York. So it's a shame. I kind of hate that. But at the same time, I don't look at it and go, I think Crowder is going to be the piece that wins them a Super Bowl. I just think he's another nice addition and adds to the depth there.
Yeah, and look, it's become pretty clear to me that they were going to get Berrios or Crowder. Like, they were coming. They let Beasley go, and they wanted to replace that position. Berrios would have been a really nice get for them, in my opinion. Younger, healthier, kind of on the upswing, also brings his kick returning potential. But I think Crowder, I agree with you. I think that's a fantastic signing for them because he's not coming in there. He's not being asked to be the savior or anything like that. He is a fantastic role player. And in my opinion, we've underutilized him. And even though he's been our leading receiver and all that, even with that being said, Jamison Crowder has not been able to reach his potential with the New York Jets while we've been here. It's been a rough go. And it sucks. Again, I thought he was going to be gone, but I didn't want him to go to Buffalo, man. I didn't want him to go to Buffalo.
Such an awesome dude, too, GreenBean. I mean, we had him on our draft show last year. Just couldn't be nicer. his reaction to, we spoke to him afterwards off camera about when they drafted Elijah Moore and what that could do to his playing time. Just a consummate professional. He just gets the sport. He's a great teammate. And he also led the Jets in receptions last year and only playing 12 games. So I'm happy for the guy.
Yeah. And look, I got to be honest here. Once players leave the Jets, I don't care how much I like them. Like once they play one snap for another team, I no longer like them. I do not root for them. I'm not a feel good guy as far as the football game goes. So I am going to hate him very, very short. I'll give it one more day where I feel good about him. You know what I mean? Like I wish him well. And then starting tomorrow, I hate Jamison Crowder. And I hope that he does nothing for them up in Buffalo. All right, guys, we are at pick 146, the second to last pick that we have here. We have guys that we were just talking about, Jelani Woods and JT Woods. They are now at the top of the big board on the PFN sim. So we could consider one of those two guys. We were just talking about them. They were in the, well, actually, Kolar was the guy. Is he still here? But Jelani Woods is the guy that we were talking about as well. Kolar is still there. So I think I'm going to add those two to the poll, but let's try to remember there are some other positions like edge. We would be wise to consider double dipping if we like anybody here. Do you like any of these guys? Alex Wright, D'Angelo Malone, Trey Williams is a guy I like, actually. Tyreek Smith I like. Barno he was the fastest ever edge rusher in the combine, so maybe that could get him some consideration. What do you feel about this group of guys left?
I like Tyreek Smith. I think he's a good player. Another guy who I believe was originally on the Senior Bowl roster. If I'm not mistaken, I'm usually wrong though. But I really liked his tape at Ohio State. I don't think he's necessarily going to come in and get 7 or 8 sacks for you. But at the same time, you've got Johnson, you've got Lawson, you've got Huff, and now you add that fourth rusher as a rotational piece. I think you can't go wrong with a guy like Tyreek Smith. I like the tight ends. I think there's still a lot of meat on the bone here for the Jets, considering where we're picking.
Fantastic. Well said. And that's the thing, right? These are developmental guys in many respects. You want guys that can fill a role, they can play special teams, and you can develop them. So you want, once we start getting this late in the draft, you want to start thinking about athletic ability, upside, those types of things. So edge might be something to consider. You said Trey Williams or Tyreek Smith was the guy that you liked the best?
Tyreek Smith is my guy, I think, there.
Okay. So, all right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to add Tyreek Smith. I'm going to give you guys a 4-pack here of players. So we'll put, you know what? We're going to switch it. Kolar came in last in all the votes. So I'm going to switch the tight end to Jelani Woods. I like it. So, right, we're going to go ahead. I think they might be feeling Jelani Woods a little bit more tonight. So Jelani Woods. Whoops, wait a minute. Pick 146. That's where we are. So we're going to go like this, guys. Jelani Woods. We're going to go with JT Woods. Is there anybody else named Woods? I'll throw them in there. We're going to go with Tyreek Smith edge. Whoops. Okay. And give me, we gotta think about another guy. Who else we want? Let me look at the big board and see what's floating around. Let's see what we got here. We can double dip at cornerback. We can go with an offensive lineman like Cameron Jurgens. But we did grab an interior offensive lineman here. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
Does the chat want an interior defensive line? I know they were high on some guys earlier. This is where I start to think about positions like that, low value positions. You can get a starter here. I'm not saying there is necessarily, but this is kind of when I'd start considering an interior DT.
That's well said. Well said. And look, we've done that in the past, man. Obviously Fadu Kasi was a 6th round pick and he just got a nice big contract. And don't forget Kyle Phillips was even an undrafted free agent. So finding defensive tackles at the back end of the draft is something that good GMs should be able to do. And we also grabbed Jonathan Marshall with the 6th, and it looks like he's going to get an increase in his playing time this year, most likely because they have not re-signed Kyle Phillips and they let Fadu Kasi go. We did re-sign Nathan Shepard, but we're going to need to bring someone in, it looks like, and maybe right now is the time. You got any names here that you that stand out to you? I like Haskell Garrett a little bit. I did a little bit on him earlier.
To be honest, look, this area of the draft, I'm watching players that I feel confident the Jets are going to consider. I haven't sat down and watched every interior defensive lineman. I've seen a fair bit of the kid out of OSU. He's probably the one that has stood out to me most in the games I've watched. But in saying that, I'm not sitting there grinding the interior defensive line tape on a Wednesday or a Thursday in Australia.
Right.
At the moment, that's kind of where I'd lean. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know everything. If you don't know everything, it's okay to actually say that. I think some people sometimes want to act like they know everything. But you know what? I haven't watched a lot of these guys. The guy I know is the kid out of OSU, as I said, and he's probably where I would lean in this poll.
Yep, I feel the same way. And good for you, Luke. You don't have to be an expert on everything, right? We got to remember this, this isn't our full-time gig either. You know what I mean? So this is all, like you said, on a Wednesday night, digging into stuff. And defensive tackle is one of the positions that I feel like we might not need all that much. I mean, again, I think we should bring somebody in, but we still have Quinn and we have JFM who's probably sliding inside. We have Rankins. We have obviously Nathan Shepard. We got Jonathan Marshall. So we have a nice batch of guys there. So yeah, but I'll add Garrett to the poll. Haskell, Garrett, everybody. This is for the defensive tackles. Defensive tackle lovers. Here we go. So the poll is up, everybody. The poll is up. So D. Vieira says, you guys got to look up Josh Pascal. I will. I'll do that. Anyone got a recap? Nick Shine. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, buddy. Here's a recap while we're waiting for the poll. Don't forget to get your votes in, everybody. Okay, where is it? Here we go. I'll give you a little bit of some recap action here. Here we go. We got Sauce Gardner. Nick, this is for you. Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Traylon Burks, Christian Watson, Kenyon Green, Leo Chanel, and running back Jerome Ford. I think if we grabbed a tight end here maybe or a safety, then we can actually have a legitimate conversation about Cade York in a few minutes. Luke, what do you think of that?
Yeah. That
little Cade York action. So, okay. Let's see what we got. All right. I think we're going to wrap this poll up. And I know who it's going to be. I just know it. It's going to be Woods.
Which one?
It's an easy one because I know, right? I see I cheated. Oh, look, Jelani Woods edges out JT Woods by 4%. So here he comes, everybody, the 6'6" UVA alum. That's where I am right now. I'm actually in Charlottesville, the home of UVA. This is going to be my home base for a while. So, okay, let's pick the UVA guy to go along. He'll be happy to hang out with Bryce Hall. Here he comes, Jelani Woods. Okay, guys, so we have one more pick. One more pick. Now, is there anybody, we're going to look at this big board and we're going to do a little scan. We're going to see if there's anybody there that you feel like you can't pass them. And I want to hear it from the chat. We're going to take a look at this big board. Here's our final pick. Here we go. Here's the big board. Whoops. Come on. Come on, Bean. Here we go. Okay. So we got Tariq Castro Fields. We could absolutely double dip at cornerback. Nothing wrong with that. We just drafted Jelani Woods. So maybe a tight end isn't the way we want to go, but we could do running back, get another wide receiver here. Cornerback. I'm not seeing anybody I feel. Oh, Kyle Phillips. I love Kyle Phillips.
UCLA. Big fan.
Yep. Yeah, I love him. We got another safety. We can grab another running back. There's another edge right here. Tyreek Smith out of Ohio State. We took his line mate. I think he would be a fantastic pick right here, actually.
It's incredible. A guy that jumps out to me on the screen there, GreenBean, is Munford. He was a guy at Ohio State who was thought of as almost a top draft pick. And then he played Aiden Hutchinson. He got thrown around. He had a really poor 2021. I haven't seen a draft stock go south that quickly in a while. He was kind of a top 50 pick, and he's really fallen out of grace with everyone, and kind of rightfully so.
Yeah, what an interesting thing. It's reminiscent of Sean Wade last year. He was considered a first-round cornerback and ended up being a late-round safety. So you want to talk about a fall from grace, very, very similar. It's interesting how that happens sometimes. Guys are, considered among the best in the class, and then they just fly south. And I happen to like Thayer Mumford quite a bit. I think he'd be a really good pick here too. So we have a few edges. I'm sorry. Josh Pascal was just mentioned in the chat.
Yeah.
We could consider him. But guys, we also have the ability to consider the number one kicker in the country. Here, let's see, make sure he's there. Cade York, right there, guys. So what are we thinking? I'm going to put this in our final poll of the night. We'll put up Cade York, kicker. We'll put up Tyreek Smith. We're going to put up Kyle Phillips for fun. And we're going to put up Mumford. Why not? Okay. Last pick poll is up, everybody. Let's get your votes in. Let's go. Everybody who's still here, nab it. Let's go. Let's get this pick done. Slam it down. All right. Who do you think? Give me your prediction. Who do you think the chat's going to pick here?
You know what? I feel like this is the point of the draft where people like me, like yourself, probably GreenBean, we don't know everybody. I feel like this is where people start going, I want the kicker because I want assuredness at one of the spots that you see deciding games all the time. Look at what Cincinnati had this year. He didn't miss a big money kick down the stretch, same as the kid out of Las Vegas. You have a good kicker. It's such an important thing in the fourth quarter. I would be surprised if that isn't the pick. Is that where I'd go? Maybe, maybe not. I like Kyle Phillips a bunch. I think if you want a slot option, can the Jets draft 3 wide receivers? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I think he's a natural fit. I'm intrigued. I like Smith as well. I already talked about him, the edge rusher out of Ohio State. So I don't think you can go too wrong here. I think considering it's a 6th round pick, I'm pretty satisfied either way.
Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling good too. And I think, guys, I thought I was going to be 100% on the kicker, but I think I would go Tyreek Smith here. Why not double up on edge and get a developmental guy to potentially, in 2-3 years, maybe he replaces Carl Lawson, or if he never gets that strong, maybe he's Bryce Huff or, the guy we just got from Houston. You got a guy on your team developing, on the pipeline, developing and building up depth. And by the time he's ready to come in, he knows the system like we just talked about with the offensive line. I think it's a great move. If they like him, bring him in. So let's see. Well, Kev says Kolar if tight end. Well, we drafted Jelani Woods, the tied for the biggest tight end in the draft. And interesting, UVA the last 2 years has had the 2 biggest tight ends in the draft. Last year, Tony Poljan, who ended up getting signed as an undrafted free agent with the Baltimore Ravens. So I really like him. Look at Jeremy's just talking about food in here. He don't care. They're talking about dumplings. Jeremy and Nick. Are we good? Am I here?
You're here. Am I here?
Yeah. Did I disappear or did you? I think I disappeared there, right?
Okay. I'm okay. Either way.
All right. So Jeremy's eating dumplings or something from China. All right, let's go. PG, I hope you got your vote in. Let's see what we do. I'm going to end the poll. It's late. This one, wow, it's almost 12:30, Luke. I didn't even realize. Holy macaroni. This one went long. Yeah, John Hepburn, he was talking to me about Matt Araiza in he's probably the number 1 punter in the country and also has place kicking potential. So we went with Cade York. Oh, I'm surprised. I thought Tyreek Smith had a chance. All right, let's pick them. I'm going to let the draft run, and we're going to take a look at our division rivals in just a second. So what do you think overall, without taking a look at our draft, how do you feel about the way it went tonight?
I feel pretty good, and it's because we hit on marquee positions, corner, edge, wide receiver. They're the positions you want to be good at in the NFL. In addition to that, I think the Jets got value in the second round with Christian Watson and also Treylon Burks, a guy who most thinks a first rounder. You get a guy at 10, Johnson, who this chatter, he might not make it to 10 now. Then you go down and get Kenyon Green late in or early in the third round. I think you got great players. Is it necessarily a traditional draft? I don't think so. Is it what I would have put together by myself sitting at home? Maybe not, but I think it's actually a really good haul.
Yeah, I feel the same way. This is really an interesting one. That Kenyon Green slide, I think, really changed things for us. We were not expecting to be taking an interior offensive lineman in the third round, but how can you possibly pass that type of a slide? And look, it happens every single year. We were talking about Creed Humphrey last year as a fantastic example. Every year there are wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Michael Thomas. They always have a slider, guys that should have been taken already. And it's just the way that it is. There are only 32 teams picking, and the round is only 32 picks long. And guys slide, man. Guys bounce into rounds that they're not supposed to. And it happens all the time. I think that Kenyon Green pick would be amazing. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. I don't see any more picks from our division rivals. So let's take a look, guys. I'm really curious. Here are the Miami Dolphins. Let's see what they did, Luke. So the Miami Dolphins started it with a running back, Kenneth Walker III, out of Michigan State. Then they got linebacker Christian Harris, offensive tackle Darian Kennard, cornerback Alante Taylor, wide receiver Eric Azunkama, tight end Cole Turner, linebacker Mike Rose, Javen Hiley, wide receiver out of Coastal Carolina, and offensive tackle Logan Bruss. They do have one more pick, but that's not a big deal. Guys, give us your letter grade for the Miami Dolphins in the chat. Luke, what do you think of their haul?
I think it's disappointing because, number one, you're getting low-impact positions, running back, linebacker. Look, I like Harris. I like Walker as players. But are they going to maximize your ability to turn a franchise around like the Dolphins need? Probably not. The pick that stands out the most, though, is a good one, is Darian Kennard. I think he's a really good tackle out of Kentucky. Had some awesome reps when I was watching Trayvon Walker tape. I thought he handled his length and size and athleticism really well on the edge. I think he goes higher than that. But I think if you get him, he's a starting tackle. But overall, I give it like a C, maybe somewhere around there. I think that's kind of where I'd land.
Right. Starting with a running back, as much as I do like Walker, it's like, okay, all right. Yeah, it's not the best start. I'm seeing a lot that agree with us. I'd give it a C as well. I'm seeing C's from Jake. Let's see, Gitmo C-. That's not bad for Gitmo Bob. That's a pretty good. That means Gitmo Bob likes it. Another C-. Rob V gives it a C. Brandon says that's the most Dolphins draft ever. I'm seeing some D's, C's, Hosea C, Stud City C-. So I think we're all in the same boat here. Okay, so let's take a look now. Let's see who's next. Another division rival. Let's see who we got. Who's next? The Pats. Let's see what they do. It looks like they did some trading. So the Pats started it with cornerback Andrew Booth. Then they got wide receiver Romeo Doubs. Running back Rashad White. I don't like seeing that. Cornerback Mario Goodrich. So that's two cornerbacks. Look at that. Then they had tight end out of Maryland that we were talking about. Marquise Bell, the safety out of Florida A&M. Tight end James Mitchell. He's trying to build that tight end room again. Abram Smith, running back out of Baylor, and Neil Farrell Jr. Guys, let us know what you think of the Pats draft haul here. Luke, what do you got for me on the Pats?
This is actually something that I could see Bill Belichick doing through the sport up with Bill Walsh and all those guys. I get it. He has not been a good general manager for the last 6 or 7 years. I think he's been really disappointing with his drafts. Booth is a good player, but I think he's overdrafted. In saying that, I thought that about the kid that Atlanta took a couple of years ago, and he's turned into an all-pro player. Doubling down on tight end, I can see them doing that. Adding corners, that's going to be important for them after they've let go of J.C. Jackson, after they also let go of Stephon Gilmore early last year. So I think this is actually quite realistic from what you could see out of the Patriots. In saying that, I still don't love it. I might like it a little bit more than the Dolphins because they have some more premier positions. But again, I'm around maybe a C, a C plus. I wouldn't go much higher than that.
Yeah, I got to say, man, Bill Belichick has had Tom Brady with the capability of covering up a lot of his drafts. They've been poor. He misses quite a bit. And don't forget, the Pats have been masterful in using the comp pick equation. They've been getting 2 to 4 extra picks every single year for a decade. There's been times when he's even had 2 and 3 extra thirds. And Bill Belichick misses quite a bit. I'm seeing lots of C's. I got a B minus here from Jordan. John Silva gives it a solid B. Dumplings is still talking about dumplings versus spaghetti. It's a whole different stream. Dumplings. MM1024 gives it a C. Stud City C minus. Rob gives it a C minus, and Gitmo Bob in Gitmo Bob fashion gives it an F plus. There you go. Not quite an F. F plus. We got some C's. Chris Bradigan says automatic F. I hate him. Okay, let's go to the final division rival here. And let's see what the Buffalo Bills. This is going to scare me. Okay, Look at this. They did some trading here. Wow. Okay, so they started it with offensive guard Zion Johnson, a favorite of Jet Nation. Kyler Gordon, the cornerback. Running back Tyler Algier. Defensive tackle Zachary Carter. They got Tyreek Smith, the edge out of Ohio State we were talking about. And defensive tackle DJ Davidson. So a very consolidated draft haul here. Looks like they made some moves. Maybe they moved up a little bit. What do you think of the Buffalo Bills? Guys, let us know in the chat, and I'll turn it to Luke. How do you feel about this little bit smaller draft haul?
I think this is the best of the 3 AFC East drafts, outside of ours, of course. But I think Zion Johnson, automatic starter. He can step in and start at left or right guard in year 1. Tyler Algier, a guy who has a really nice burst and turn of speed for a running back that can also run behind his pads and be that thunder to the lightning. You get Tyreek Smith, who can be a rotational rusher behind a Von Miller, picking stuff up from him, who they just got. I think this is kind of like a B to a B minus for me. It's hard because it's a small draft. There's not many high picks, so it's never going to look as good. I'm going to give it a B.
Yeah, I agree with you again. I think this is pretty strong. It's not blowing my doors off, but I look at especially the top 3 picks and I really like them. And then, I happen to like Tyreek Smith as well. So I think this is a pretty strong draft with a strong team that they have already. I think this would fit in perfectly. Stud City reminds us, did you hear about this, Luke? Last year, the Patriots were being praised for spending $200 million in free agency. This year, they're sitting back and doing the bargain bin thing, and they're being praised the Patriots, they can do no wrong. Did you notice that? Do you feel the same way?
You can't lose if you're Bill Belichick. The perception of him in the media, and look, I get it from a coaching perspective, but from an off-season plan, I think they were so poor last year. The money they threw at the tight ends, I know it's important, and I know they ended up with 9 wins maybe, but I don't think they actually did anything that was beneficial for their long-term future last year in the offseason. They threw a whole lot of money at players. I don't think any of it really stuck. It's like what Jacksonville did this year. I think Jacksonville had the New England offseason this year. And then you're right. In past years, when Jets have sat back, they're not being aggressive enough. But New England, they're just being savvy. They're picking up some smart deals. So, look, it's just the typical New England bias.
That's it. And it's going to take a little while, guys. We got to remember, it's going to take some winning and it's going to take some success for the Jets to be considered wise in any capacity. Right now, no matter which take we go, it's going to be a mistake. Look at the Jets. They're trying to buy a team. Look at the Jets. They won't even spend any of their money in free agency. It doesn't matter what side it is. That's the way it goes. So, yeah, I noticed that too. Sweaty Balls just says F the Bills. We got lots of B's and C's. Mark Wagner, C+. Jake says, it's a good draft for a competitor. I agree. PG checks in, gives it a C+. Now let's go to ours. We're going to get your letter grades for the New York Jets draft for this 10 o'clock mock. Let's see how we did here. Where are we? I'm just going to do this. We didn't do any trades. Jesus, Kyle. Come on. All right. Hold on. There we are. So here we go. We did no trades, so we gained nothing for next year. which has been more, I'm telling you, we're not doing many trades these days. We used to be trade happy around here. Now we're kind of nice and calm. I think everybody's calming down. All right, guys. So here's our draft. I want to see your letter grades in the chat. We started it with Sauce Gardner at 4. Then we got our edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State at 10. We started our wide receiver party at 35 with Traylon Burks out of Arkansas. Then we followed him a couple picks later and went Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. Then we took our big steal of this draft, Kenyon Green at pick 69, offensive guard. Then we went linebacker, give CJ Mosley some thumping help in there. Leo Chanel out of Wisconsin. Then we went running back in the 4th out of Cincinnati, Jerome Ford. Then we got a tight end, Jelani Woods out of UVA, Virginia. And then we followed it with the best kicker in the country. Finally, we stopped playing games at kicker and we grabbed Cade York. Luke, give me your grade. What do you think?
I think at worst it's a B. I think it's a B+. I think you have 6 guys who can walk in day one and be a starter for the New York Jets, but not just compared to us, compared to an average NFL team. Sauce Gardner, I think there's a very low chance he doesn't pan out. Jermaine Johnson's going to be a starter in the NFL. Traylon Burks and Christian Watson, one of them could be a superstar and one of them could be average, and that's still a home run in the second round. Kenyon Green, you hit the nail on the head with. You love Leo Chanel. I think he's value. He can start for an NFL team. You then get complementary pieces on offense, help Zach Wilson with Ford and with Woods. You get Cade York to finish it. It's hard to go wrong. I know, as I said before, it's not traditional. It may not be the logic that some people think, but I'm going to go B+, very close to an A-.
I love it. I mean, what great arguments. Again, I mean, it's like, I couldn't see me making this mock draft like by myself. I wouldn't end up here. I just wouldn't end up here. But now that I'm looking at it, I got to say, I really like it. I'm going to give it an A-. I'm really, really happy with our haul. I like that. Even though I wanted Tyreek Smith at the end, I really do like the idea of just taking the question marks off of the kicker. Let's go get a guy that's more than likely going to be a strong kicker for us for a long time. We need somebody in here for a decade or more. Like, stop playing games with a different kicker every year, sometimes 2 and 3 in 1 year like last year. And I like that. So I'm seeing lots of A-. Yusef gave it a B+. Thomas Cahill with an A-. MM, A-. Oh, Yusuf changed it. He said, you know what, on second thought, I like what Luke said. A- for me. B+ from Frank Scarpula. Braden checks in with an A-. Hepburn says, no one wants to trade with Trader Joe anymore. That's right. You saw what he walked into Houston with Blake Cashman under his arm and left with a 6th round pick. I mean, how does that even happen? I don't even know how that happened. I really don't. Let's see. Gitmo Bob. Come on, Gitmo Bob. D+ to C- because it should have been much better. You know, one day I'm going to get Gitmo Bob on here. I'm just going to let him do the mock. I'm so curious, Bob. I really am. Sincerely. Jordan Victor gives it a C+. He doesn't like the pick at 10. Burks and Green are very good value picks. Okay. C+ for you. B+ for Jake. PG gives it an A-. Another A- here from Josiah. Oh, Rob V changed his mind. B+. What was your first one, Rob? What was it? Okay. Sorry, I was to draft. Yeah, okay, J. Cole. All right. Okay, so lots of aim. I think outside of a C and a D from Gitmo Bob, I think we did pretty damn good. B+, Kev gives it a C. He says Burks is gone before 20. Yeah, I know, but why do you guys do that? You know what I mean? Why do you guys do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's what was in front of us. If it ended up, what we're trying to do, Kev, is if it fell like this, what would we do? That's what mocks are. Every week we get that, Luke. Come on, Kev. Give me a break, buddy. C's and okay. All right. Well, I think overall we did a pretty damn good job. And I appreciate Luke being here. We got a super chat. Let's see what he says. Local Shearer Douglas says, as the GM, this is a B. Need at least 8 linemen in the draft. Right. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, Jets Twitter might say that about wide receiver. I saw somebody today who said 3 wide receivers in the draft is a must. I'm like, I don't know. You're going to be disappointed, I think. 3 wide receivers is a must. I don't know. I think we did good with our Christian Watson and Treylon Burks. I'd be very, very happy. Yeah, all right, man. So look, this one went long, guys. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. And Luke, I want to thank you so much for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed your presence and your takes and all your information as well. Is there anything that you got coming up? You want to let people know what's going on, where they can find you, anything?
Just a whole lot of draft content coming. It's Play Like a Jet on YouTube. Got a bit of momentum. We're rolling. A little bit different to what we're doing over here. GreenBean, you've got an awesome community. These lives are incredible. There's so many people in the chat. It's incredible how you guys do it. The chat's awesome. Thanks for your help tonight. Over on my side, not so much of that stuff. More of just kind of like 10-minute film reviews. I try and give you a piece of digestible information, see if you like the player. I think Garrett Wilson's going to be coming up because he's been a hot topic because I don't love his tape. So there'll be stuff on him. I'm at LukeGrant7 on Twitter. If you respect yourself, you probably don't want to follow me there. That's okay. I'll understand it. But head over to YouTube and check us out there.
Yeah, no, Luke does. He does lots of polls and stuff. He's always, taking a look at the pulse of Jetnation. Before we go, I forgot to do it, and I feel bad. I want to bring Jeremy on for a minute and get his opinion of the draft. Sorry, Jeremy. Are you finished eating? You good? All right. Sorry, buddy. I meant to bring you on before we started the AFC East stuff, but I don't know. My bad, buddy. I'm sorry. So what do you think of the draft, Jeremy? You good? What do you think of it real quick?
I thought it was, I think I said B in the chat. I thought it was okay. I like some of it. I like getting Sauce Gardner, like if you hit on a cornerback, there's no such thing as too early. That's a key position. He feels like, everything points to him being an elite player. I love all the picks, 10, 35, and 38. Like I love Jermaine Johnson, Treylon Burks, and Christian Watson. My only hesitation with that, and it's not major, it's that out of Burks and Watson, one of them is not going to get to play a lot. And then, it's not so much, out of Burks, Watson, and Green. Out of Burks and Watson, one of them won't play a lot. And then you got Green, who's an amazing value, had to take him. But my concern is he's not going to play a lot. So you have 2 guys that we're picking that aren't going to really substantially help the team this year. But individually, there's no player here I don't love. Like, they're all great players. It's just that it feels like at least 2 of those top 5 picks are not going to be able to make a contribution right away just because we're going to be overstacked.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, unless you factor in the Jets curse, which tells you that we need overkill at every position because there's going to be injuries. So then there's that. If you think about it, if you're just hedging your bet, you're like, you know what? I need an extra guy at every position because last year we were decimated. And maybe Kenyon Green starts the second half of the season and does Watson. It'd be nice to have wide receiver 5 and 6 starter caliber. But I get it. It's a good point. Thank you.
The value is there, though. So, I have no problem with it because individually the value is there for each of those picks. I have no argument with any of them.
Right. And if you guys don't know who we're talking to here, this is Jeremy from NFL Chaos with Jeremy. And I want to remind you to sub to his channel. He does the Wacky Wednesday, and he also does the Dueling Drafts with Dom C on Sundays, which is a fantastic show. Underrated, in my opinion. And if you guys haven't checked it out, please do. All of Luke's information is in the description of this very video. You can follow him on Twitter. I do. You can watch him on YouTube at Play Like a Jet. I do. He's one of the guys I'm looking at, everybody. So if you got a sec, please go over there and support him. These guys are awesome. And I appreciate both of you being on, man. The show wouldn't be the same if it was just me. I assure you it'd be significantly less enthralling. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you to the chat. Everybody, you make the show what it is for real. The best chats in all of YouTube, in my opinion. I'm telling you, I watch so many videos, so many live streams of different genres. There's nothing like what we have here. You guys are vibrant and intense, and it's just the best, and I appreciate it. With that said, have a great night, everybody. We will see you next time.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8.
Donnie Lamb Jones. Wide receiver. As a season ticket holder of the Jets, I'm going to fool Ken O'Brien of California Davis.
Obviously, the Jets know something that, the people up there don't.
Fullback. Roger Vick, Jeff Lageman.
Jets just don't understand the dress all about.
Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State. Johnny Mitchell. The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. Vernon Ghost.
Cleveland traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
D. Milner. Geno Smith. Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
Sam Darnold.